You know, for the first time ever on this show, we will follow a points championship. It's the PENDA Points Series. In fact, a 13-race schedule starting today here in Lima and ending later this year in Indianapolis. The PENDA Points Series awards points for excellence and consistency. A driver receives points as he advances round by round, bonus points for the fastest qualifier, and the fastest overall run of the racing event. And of course, this is the start of a brand new season. And with each new season, we have new trucks being debuted and driver changes. And here with more on that is my colleague, Army Armstrong.
That's right, Gary. NASCAR is not the only major sport that has silly season. Check this out. You might need a pencil and paper to follow me. Kirk Dabney used to run GMC. He's teamed up with Marty Garza in a Ford operation. Had quick qualifying time today. Looked good through the first round. Donnie Van Loo, he got out of the driver's seat. Gene Patterson, who used to be with Ford, came over to work for Van Loo. Their combination, Chrysler-powered Chevrolet truck by an old Ford driver. You figure that one out. Dan Runte, new kid on the block of Bob and Marilyn Chandler's operation. He'll be driving the Bigfoot Power Wheels vehicle. That's the new Bigfoot black truck with flames. He is going to be a player today. Keep an eye on this kid. He's a new kid on the block in the stables. Meanwhile, the old pro in that stables, Andy Brass, he's sat and pat. He's staying with the same combination he had last year. Remember the name Ray Prokowski, the new kid on the block for the Dodge team. He's gone over to Fred Schaefer's operation to be the new driver in the place of Ken Deppy. Where's Ken Deppy? Rumor has it he's walking around the Bigfoot operation. That's the Dodge and Ford side of it. Now, Paul Schaefer will be representing the Chevrolet camp along with the new guy on the block for us, Dan Patrick. Patrick's been in this sport for years, but this is the first time he's actually come out to run head-to-head. He'll be running head-to-head representing Chevrolet with Schaefer and guys like Gary Porter and the Carolina Crusher. I hope you follow that because I don't want to have to go through it again, but basically what it washes out to, this is going to be a good year to watch the monster trucks on TNN.
Dan Patrick, the American Gladiator, in the near lane. There is the Snakebite truck in the far lane. And this victory in round one would go to Colt Cobra with a clocking of 5.56. But look at that nose stand on the landing. And there's the time for Colt Cobra as he advances.
Point in hand, Gary. Out of North Carolina, Wadesville, North Carolina, Gary Porter comes back on the circuit again. When the points went up by PENDA, all the Chevrolet boys said, let's go get them. This is going to make for an interesting year. However, Andy Brass and Bigfoot doing what he does well.
Who moved from the Bigfoot operation over to Don Van Loo's team to run against the guy who replaced him driving for Bob Chandler, Dan Runte. And it is...
Runte drills him with a 5.5 shot. And I noticed the new colors on the Bigfoot truck they call Bigfoot Power Wheel, Gary. Gave themselves a pep talk, and they want to bump these Fords and Dodge out of the sport's lead seat. But in order to do it, you got to get past this guy, and that's one tough little job.
Yeah, it's not only Ford, it's the Bob Chandler juggernaut.
Yeah, Chandler is to this sport what Penske or Junior Johnson or somebody is to NASCAR and Indy Series. I mean, somebody seems to be on top and seems to be Chandler. Look at this. We got a race.
And it is, oh, look at that. Call that a mild upset.
Boy, everybody in the grandstand has got a Chevrolet shirt on is grinning ear to ear. A 5:30 for Schaefer. Boy, this is Schaefer's comeback tour.
Andy Brass at 5:32, ever so close, but Paul Schaefer takes the victory. Let's take a look again.
Really, Schaefer pulled him on the other end, I think at half track. Brass actually had him, but Schaefer starts motoring that big Chevrolet engine. Yeah, right there and flies past him.
Very uncharacteristic that Andy would be taken mid-track, but that's exactly what happened.
They are going to be going against Colt Cobra out of Cobra Creek, Colorado. Now, earlier in qualifying, Cobra showed us that he is literally going to have this thing on kill today. He wants to win the PENDA Point Series. He said, I'll do anything it takes to win this thing. That was just the qualifying shot.
Is that what you call full boogaloo?
Double throwdown, full boogaloo, thank you.
All right, now back to action. In this round, Dabney, the near lane Colt Cobra, who is back in the cockpit of Snakebite. He did some R&D work last season. Now he's back in the cockpit, and it is, yeah, Colt Cobra.
He pulls the trigger.
Almost rolls it over.
He's trying to shut it down, Gary, on the big end.
Oh. There was a case where he got up on two wheels. He kept his foot in it, though, and pulled it back out. He used every bit of runoff area.
I'll tell you what, that was great driving, but also these trucks have a kill switch. I want you to realize that whoever was operating that kill switch did the right thing. If they would have turned his power off right now, he would have gone on over. They let him drive the truck out before they hit the kill switch. Man, that was close, Gary Lee.
Look at how close it gets to that water tanker down there, and right behind the water tanker was our camera position. As we'll have a chance to take one more look at this wild, stirring ride by Colt Cobra in Snakebite. Question is, was any damage done to the truck. They're coming right at you, and watch this landing on the right-hand lane.
Boy, he takes a bounce. Now, right now, he's on the throttle. It kicks sideways on him, but watch it starts to roll over. Now you have to have horsepower to plant it back on the ground. See, he hits the throttle and it pulls it down. Now we got another problem. It's called big water truck.
And he's on the binders now over what appears to be a log down there, or a telephone pole. Gets it stopped, however. He is okay. He's had a chance to make his way back to the pit area, and he's with Army Armstrong.
Okay, what we're looking at right now on the top end of the track, the driver's out of the truck. He's okay. Jim Kramer's checking the rear suspension of the truck. But we're going to take you around it to show you what's unique down here. At the very end of the track, they had a bunch of poles. Well, the driver, trying to get the truck shut down, actually got into the poles. You notice a lot of axles. First of all, you okay, Cole? Ride, heck of a ride.
Yeah, it was a heck of a ride. We've been having some suspension problems, but we've been working on them. We knew we had to race. We had to come out. We had to give it everything we had. And going against somebody like Overkill, you saw the passes he put down earlier today. We knew we couldn't back out of it. I'm fine. All the safety equipment worked flawlessly. As far as we can tell, the truck's not hurt. We're going to be back next round.
Let me ask you a question. We've been watching you on the top end of the track. You are getting your neck wrung every time this truck lands. I mean, your head is really ripping around in there. Does that bother your neck at all?
Snakes don't have necks.
Got you, Army! We'll come back with the semifinal action from Lima, Ohio. Stay with us.
The Bigfoot Cruiser.
After that wild ride the last round, you can see that Snakebite is back together. No damage to that truck. And there's a look from inside the cockpit at Andy Brass.
You know, in the interview, Snakebite said snakes don't have necks or anything. Well, I'll go along with that. On the other side of the slate is a guy that's got a good head on top of his neck, Andy Brass. Now, he went out in the previous round, but he comes back to the quick side of the bracket. And I guarantee you, he's like an old-time gunfighter. Andy Brass still thinks he can win this thing.
Andy Brass is going to win it big time. Now, there may have been some damage, however. That run turned in by Snakebite may not be indicative of the kind of run that he normally could do. Yeah, it could be a result of that last run.
He nets a 6.11, qualified in a 5, Brass a 5.16. So you're talking some time difference here, but the story here is Andy Brass is back into this thing through the loser bracket, and the kid with no neck, he's still got it on kill in the far lane.
But 5.16 is faster than Brass qualified. And he really picked up the wheels, had a rough landing there.
And I tell you what, you talk about Paul Schaefer. Both guys will rock and roll you big time if you let them do it. Watch this.
Well, they're going to have to rock and roll to make it to the finals.
Ford's in the final. Is this Dodge or this Chevrolet going to be going against the Ford? Boy, the drama's up. Goes green, Dodge in the far lane, Gary, looks like to me.
Fred Schaefer got the whole shot, and he rides that whole shot to victory. So it's going to be Dodge and Ford in the final here in Lima, Ohio. Fred Schaefer in barefoot guns down Paul Schaefer in Monster Patrol. There's a time of 5.66 for Paul Schaefer. Let's take a look again. It was the whole shot that was the margin of victory.
Amazing. The Dodge, see, it settles down real quick. The Chevrolet bounced a little bit. When it gets to the last jump, oh, Fred, he pulled the trigger and went flying.
And look how high they were off the ground just before they got to the finish line. So Fred Schaefer takes the victory. Well, there's a look at barefoot and Fred Schaefer. Remember that great hole shot he had in the semifinal round?
Well, Schaefer runs a Lenco transmission in the red truck, the Dodge in the far lane. And it's kind of like winding up a rubber band on a little airplane. The harder you go, the harder it'll hold. So he is ready to go. Now, the Kazi horsepower that Brass was talking about is in the engine compartment, so both drivers seem to have an edge. Fred with the transmission, the Bigfoot truck and Andy Brass with horsepower, but the bottom line is
whole shot, Andy Brass. Oh, Andy hangs on for the victory. Yes, he does at 5.13. It looked like he got the whole shot, but then right there was Fred Schaefer.
Schaefer stayed on him like a bird dog, but Brass making the horsepower mile an hour on the other end and comes back to the loser side of this bracket. Look at the start. A good start by both guys. Watch them settle down in no man's land. You notice the wheels up on the Ford. Now the Dodge makes horsepower and powers the wheels up. They pull the trigger on the last jump.
Oh, by less than a fender, it's Andy Brass. Brass takes the victory here in Lima, Ohio. There's a shot inside the cockpit as we ride with him again. The track may be straight, but look at him work on that steering wheel. Andy Brass, a real workout in the Bigfoot Cruiser. He takes the victory. He's with Army.
Andy Brass proving he's a champion in the fact you just don't give up. You got back into this thing to the loser bracket. Now you're the national points leader.
Yeah, you know, the Ford Bigfoot here has been running well for us today. Just like I say, we slacked off a little bit to one round, and it's something we proved that you can't do out here in the race series now because everybody's so competitive. So we just stepped back in it. We knew what we had to do, and we was going to have to push it hard. We knew Fred was going to run hard. So like I said, that's all we could do. The John Cosby Hemi did us a good job. Like I say, Firestone's hooked up for us, and I think we did it real well today.
Well, congratulations to Andy Brass. We'll have a chance to take a look now at the PENDA point standings after 1 of 13 events. There's Andy Brass leading Fred Schaefer, then it's Paul Schaefer, Colt Cobra, and Kirk Dabney. Here is a look now at that upset in round 1. Pam Botters, the near lane, that good-looking boogie van. Fred Schaefer, the Dodge pickup in the far lane, and it was all Pam Botters as she takes the upset victory over Fred Schaefer. And this will really hurt Fred in the points chase. He was second going in. Earlier, Army talked to Pam.
Pam, a lot of people wondered if you're going to be a serious contender for this thing. I hope they realize now you are definitely here to play the game.
Yeah, that's what we built the second truck for, to come out here and race this series. I'm not here to play around. I am here to take a win.
And the young lady is certainly building her fan base. Another pleasant surprise this weekend, the qualifying run of Kirk Dabney, the overkill truck. He's the fastest qualifier.
He was the quickest qualifier for the second event in a row that gives him bonus points. But you know, he missed a driver's meeting, and that cost him 100 points. That could come back to haunt him. That could be his boogie van before the year's over.
More highlights now from round 1. Gary Porter, the Carolina Crusher, in the far lane. And Kirk Dabney, overkill, your fast qualifier. The near lane it is. Yeah, it was Kirk Dabney taking the victory in round 1, so he advances a 5:28, and that's exactly what he qualified at. In the near lane, Colt Cobra. In the snakebite truck, the far lane is Ray Borkowski.
And Cobra literally drills him on the start line, Gary, in that first round. Borkowski's still getting used to the new truck combination, and before the year's over, he'll be a player, but right now, run. We wanted the folks at home just to see what it's all about and get a little bit of the excitement in this sport when those motors start to roar.
5:20, Kirk Dabney takes it 3/100ths of a second. He takes the victory.
Got to keep the wheels on the ground to make the horsepower stick. Both drivers leave good, but watch the chassis unloading the far side. That was that bar we told you about just a moment ago. The chassis change didn't work.
And there's the margin of victory for Kirk Dabney as he climbs out of the truck. Here's Army.
I'll tell you what, the new kids on the block are making a name for themselves today. We got the designer right here, Marty, and the driver. Fellas, congratulations. It looked like you hit on the right combination this year.
Well, Army, a lot of effort's been put into this truck, and I'm kind of speechless. It's our first race of the year. We had a lot of expectations, but you know how tough it is out here. When you go against any of these guys, you got to battle.
Ladies in the near lane. In this sport, is it ladies first? Not. They don't believe in that. First one to the other end is going to go to the next round.
And by just that much, it was Colt Cobra, 5:26. So Colt will advance, and there's a look at the boogie van, and Pam Botters, 5:38.
He's not afraid of any of these guys. He may be relatively new in time in the seat, but as far as horsepower, he'll go head-to-head with anybody.
Good tight run, but Andy Brass takes it by what? About 2 feet, maybe 3 feet at the most, a 5:11. A good run, a good time for Andy Brass. And looking for the time now of Paul Schaefer, a 5:16, ever so close. But Brass takes the victory.
I can't believe you lose in this heat with a 5:16. That's an awesome run. Both trucks leave together, settle down over the first jump, and from now on out is just muscle.
Well, the fast loser can come back. We'll see what happens. Here's Andy with Army.
Andy, one thing about this series, man, it's tough. I mean, it's going to be, if you can be a champion on this series, you are the champion.
Yeah, this year's really going to be a tough series for us. We knew it coming into the series here that everybody was going to be running close this year. The times are really coming down. We're running within 1/100th or 2/100ths of each other. And out here on this kind of track where the track changes a lot, that can be a big difference, you know. But we think we're pretty confident here with the Ford. You know, it's been doing us a good job. The John Cosby Hemi's been making some power. The Firestones are hooking up. You know, the Trailmaster shocks. We got the suspension dialed in. Like I say, the track's biting good today, so we're thinking we're going to do pretty good today.
Another guy who has upgraded his horsepower is Kirk Dabney in Overkill.
He teamed up with Marty Garza in a computer-designed vehicle that Garza came up with. And unique here is the fact the Chevrolet you're looking at, the engine is in the front, stock location, just where they came out in Detroit. The engine in the Ford sits to the rear, but look at the Chevrolet. He bumps him big time on the start, and the Ford comes back. Who had it, Gary?
Ever so close, ever so close. I think it's Paul Schaefer, Army. We'll get the time here momentarily. Almost a photo finish. We'll go back and take a look at this again. It's almost too close to call. Watch now at the finish line. Paul Schaefer, the far lane, Dabney, the near lane, right there. Oh, it is 5:19 for Kirk Dabney, and for Paul Schaefer, look at 5:17. So Paul Schaefer takes the victory. Here's Army.
What do they say?
Monster Patrol picks up the win by just about the lug of a tire.
Boy, the lug of it. Congratulations to you, Paul. I tell you what, these guys with Overkill are going to be tough this year, but let's look at what you're doing. One Chevrolet made it into the second round. You're going into the final representing the Chevrolet camp. That's got to make you awfully happy.
Yeah, that makes me real happy because my Van Sinders motor putting out some horsepower, and the Spitfire plugs is doing its job, and Red Baron truck wash, and we're right there. I'm glad for the Chevrolets.
We'll let you get ready for the final. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
And they battle right now for the right to meet Paul Schaefer for the championship here in Lima, Ohio. There's the far lane. That is Snakebite and Colt Cobra back in the cockpit after a year off for some research and development work. And he goes up against the biggest name in monster truck racing, Andy Brass.
Brass and the Mad Blue takes the win.
Andy Brass by over a fender at 5:04. Brass keeps getting faster throughout the afternoon. There's the 5:20 for Colt Cobra. A 5:04. That is incredible for Andy
awesome.
Brass.
Yeah.
As we look from back across the track, the other drivers have been in the teens, but he sets it down to a 5:04. He takes the victory. Here's Army.
Once again, Andy climbing out of the vehicle. Tough run.
Yes, it was. You know, we were watching Snake. His time's been good. We've been looking at Monster Patrol and Overkill. Both the guys been running some good times there, you know. So like I say, we're just going to have to bear down and make a good, fast run. We had to get fast times. We had lane choice. We feel that the right lane's a little better lane today. It's a big thing right now this year is who can get the traction between the cars, and I think that's where we're starting to pick it up. You know, the suspension's holding us down on the first set. We're able to get the traction between the cars and turn in some fast times.
This kid could be the bearer of that.
As we look on, the crew looks on. We are ready for the finals. Let's watch and listen. Here they are.
Well, you can feel the drama, Gary. Ford Chevy.
And it's Andy Brass by a fender. It was so close, though, from the angle the crew was watching, from our television angle. We could see there's the 5:26 for Paul Schaefer, but we could see that Andy Brass did indeed take the victory, his second victory of the Young Monster Truck Racing Series.
Boy, nothing for the Chevrolet camp to be ashamed of. They've got a new guy. His name's Schaefer, and he will be a player before the year's over. Look how close this was.
Andy Brass pads his points lead in the PENDA Points Series after 2 events. As we take a look at the points, there's Andy Brass, some 650 points up on Paul Schaefer. Then it's Colt Cobra, Fred Schaefer, and Kirk Dabney. Here's your winner.
Well, Gary, we've been here before, but it seems to get harder and harder to stay in this winter's end of this thing. Great year ahead of us, isn't there?
Yes, it is. Like I say, the competition's real stiff this year. We knew we was going to have to run hard. We knew we kind of pulled a bad shot off the line. We got a good hole shot, but it pulled us to the left there a little bit, kind of messed us up. We had to stay in it because we knew Paul was going to make a good run, so we had to do it. But the Ford come through for us, and we did make a good run, good fast time. That's what I'm happy with.
So Andy Brass leaves Lima, Ohio with a solid 650-point lead, doing so in impressive fashion with that 5:04 clocking the semifinals, the fastest ever in MTRA competition. That'll wrap it up for Army Armstrong. I'm Gary Lee. We'll see you next week on Trucks and Tractor Power. Army now some round 1 highlights with Paul Schaefer and Fred Schaefer. Fred Schaefer in the far lane was the 8th fastest qualifier. Paul Schaefer, the near lane, was the 2nd fastest qualifier. It was close, but by 3/100ths of a second, Paul Schaefer took the victory. And after his win, we went trackside, and Army caught up with the victorious Paul Schaefer of Monster Patrol.
It was close when he took off first at the starting line, and I caught him at the end. And I know if I can get down on the ground in between the cars, I thought I'd catch him at the end.
And it was a rough weekend for Pam Vodders. This is her in qualifying. A few weeks back, she rolled the boogie van, but in Bloomsburg, she would get knocked out by the quick qualifier Andy Brass in round one. Watch this little bootleg spin in the boogie van. Oh, she came real close to getting upside down right there. She was the 7th fastest qualifier. After a poor showing in Lima, it appears as if Dan Patrick in the American Gladiator has really stepped it up a notch, taking on Snakebite in round one. Patrick would notch the second win for Chevrolet in the first round.
We've had problems in qualifying. We only ran a 6:20 was the best we ran yesterday. But at 2 o'clock this morning, I had this thought, and I went out and redid my fuel system last night, and I had a check valve in backwards. So the motor wasn't burning the fuel, it was getting to it. So we did that, and it was like a brand new truck today.
Guy Wood, who we've seen compete in the Hulk monster truck, took over the driving duties for Fred Schaefer's Dodge Express, but it was all Kirk Dabney here. Both Dodges shut out in round one. What's the advertising slogan? The best never rest. Two of the best in the business right here.
Well, as a matter of fact, the one on the left, the heartbeat of America, for his advertising slogans, used to be the crew chief for the one on the right. Bragging rights coming out, Ford, Chevy. Chevy takes the win.
Oh, a big win for Dan Patrick. A big win for Chevrolet as he knocks out the fast qualifier Andy Brass in Bigfoot.
You know, it's ironic that Patrick used to be a crew chief in the Bigfoot organization, so nothing else. He's got bragging rights, but the story here is the Chevrolet win over Ford, Gary.
Well, of course, Dan Patrick has built a number of these chassis in competition today. Let's go trackside Army Armstrong. You're with that victorious team.
Gary, the guy that seems to be the happiest of all. We've seen him in all types of sports. You're a crew chief this weekend. You're doing an awfully good job.
Thanks a lot, Army. You know, Dan called me up last week. He's really having some bad luck, and he said, won't you come on up there and give us a whirl? We've been trashing all week trying to get this Samson in the field, you know, and we're making all kinds of power. We're just having a hard time getting it hooked. We set up last night and thought about it, and we got her going today.
Well, a while ago you said it was 2 o'clock in the morning. We're just congratulating. You know, it's kind of weird. This guy's like a bad penny. He keeps showing up, but he brings good luck with him. Hey, could this be your day?
I hope so. Gene, you know, I've been friends for years, and Gene's an excellent driver, great crew chief. You know, I think having him with me now is just kind of turned everything around. You know, we've got great sponsors behind us now with the Gladiators and high-tech trailer people. You know, I've been waiting several years to get into this series.
Well, good. We're glad to have you here. I'm going to grab Andy Brass real quick. Andy? Boy, I tell you what, you guys look like two old war horses going at it out there. He was running you hard.
Yeah, he is. You know, like I say, Dan's been in the sport for a long time. He's built some good equipment. Dan's been doing a lot of the chassis. We run one of his chassis, and we knew when he come out with a truck this year, he was going to be a tough competitor just because, like I say, he builds good equipment. He spent some time there trying to get the fuel system worked out. Looked like he got it worked out on there, and the truck's turning in some good times. So we knew we was going to have to run tough to beat him, and we just didn't have it at the very end.
To the rear setup, that's the vehicle in the far lane. Gary Porter staying with something tried and true. He keeps the motor in the front of the vehicle. He'll be representing the Chevrolet camp. Ford in the far lane. Chevrolet's already taken one big win. Let's see if they can make it two. Yeah!
There they take it. Gary Porter, the Carolina Crusher, by what, a few inches, but he takes the victory at a 5:30 ET. And there's Kirk Dabney's 5:34. Remember, the fast loser will come back in the next round.
Could this be the day for Chevrolet? We're going to
Here's
find
your
out.
groundhog view,
Groundhog
Army.
camera one more time. You peek your head out, that's what it looks like. But when it goes past you, that's what it looks like.
Back trackside, Army.
Gary, on the national circuit, they call Gary Porter Elvis. Well, you're rocking and rolling with them today, partner.
Yeah, it sure is. You know, I've been down for a little bit, but, you know, you can't count old dog out. You know, come out here, you know, qualified, you know, pretty decent. You know, the truck's running good, and hopefully we can take home a win again.
Chevrolet looks to have found something they didn't have this time last year. A lot of Chevrolet trucks doing a whole lot better. What is it?
Well, you know, I built a complete new truck. We got a rear engine. We're running the Pontiac style heads, you know, a high compression engine, the Fulton competition built for me out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. You know, the Neil Chance converters are hooking up really hard, and you know, I think we just got a good combination now.
Well, your little kid can drive a truck just like this one, but right now, all that goes on the shelf. The first one to see green going to the other end, trying to make it a 3 in a row for Chevrolet. I don't think they're going to do it, Gary.
No, not today.
Whoa!
Power
Schaefer's
Wheels
in trouble.
Bigfoot. Yeah, Monster Patrol had some trouble on that last landing. Got her woed there in the shutdown area. No harm done. But a victory for Ford. Dan Runte in the Power Wheels Bigfoot, a 5:17. Look once again. Now watch the far lane as the Monster Patrol lands that last time.
You have to hit flush with what you're going after. He did not. He had it left side first.
Here's Dan Runte with Army.
Dan, there's nothing but bad boys left in this thing today.
Yeah, it's rough out there, Army. There's a lot of difference between lanes. Firestone Tire's been helping us a bunch again. We're getting a good bite off the line. We're leaving the line hard. Got to thank the crew, though. They got this motor dialed in. The Ford Power Wheels Bigfoot's really hooking up today. We're excited. I really think we can go all the way.
Enough about the crew. You're doing a good job, too. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Army.
Right now, Dan's playing the role of the Great White Hope, if you will, because Chevrolet, for the first time, is looking like they're flexing some muscle. The last time they ran, 0.02 of a second determined the winner. That went to the truck on this side. You can make that up on the start line. Brass tries to drill the tree. Does he do it, Gary? You call it?
It's so close. No, I think the Chevrolet wins again. And you saw a quick glance there at Gene Patterson. He applauds his driver as Dan Patrick takes the victory. There's a look at Andy Brass, a 5:20, but Brass is eliminated. He will go to the trailer. Look again at how close it is.
Good start. Both vehicles move at the same time, but Patrick able to put the Chevrolet to the ground first to plant more horsepower has helped him right there at the finish line.
There is your margin of victory, and here is your winner climbing out of the truck.
Boy, Dan Patrick, when you're hot, but it's not coming easy. You guys are having to work every round so hard.
Well, I mean, this is the best series there is. You know, the PENDA Point Series, you got to have your act together. And up till now, we haven't, but I think we've got it. You know, Gene is doing an excellent job as a crew chief. He's just telling me how to drive. You know, I'm proud of the vehicle I built, you know, plus all the others I built. And, you know, I just can't really say enough.
Like we said earlier, maybe the bow tie boys are dressed up for prom night. They're trying to put two of them in the final. We know one's going to be here, but I guarantee you, Dan Runte's going to try to be the bad boy on the block and get a Ford in there, too. He moves quick.
He got a good hole shot, and yes, that was all he needed to take the victory. So Dan Runte in the Power Wheels Bigfoot with a 5:27. It will be Ford and Chevy in the final. An observation, you made a good one. First time we've had a Chevy in the finals all season long in this PENDA Points Championship. I'll look again, the hole shot on the left side.
Yeah, but keep an eye on the far side because Porter's right there with him. Look how close these races are. Ladies and gentlemen, these things are coming down to literally thousandths of seconds right there.
The crew chiefs converse.
An interesting point, though, is the right lane. You talked about a moment ago. All the winds have come out of the right lane. Quicker time in the previous line gives you lane choice. That puts the Chevrolet over there. We may have our first Chevrolet winner, Gary.
We do. Dan Patrick, look at the jubilation there by Gene Patterson as the Chevrolet, the bow tie brigade, takes the win. It's been a long time since we've said that.
I guarantee you, Dan Patrick is pumped because in an earlier interview, he himself said this PENDA Point Series is the best monster truck series in the world, and to win it, he has got to be grinning from ear to ear. I bet he looks like a Cheshire cat back in the pit area.
Well, there's a look at the Power Wheels Bigfoot headed back to the pit area. One more look coming right at you. The wind comes in the left lane, and there is the margin of victory. Oh, look at the air coming off that second jump for Dan Patrick as he takes the victory here in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. And I know that crew is going to be ecstatic. Let's go down trackside now. Army, see if you can catch up with our winners.
Dan Patrick, if you guys don't do anything else, you taught the kids of America, if you believe in your dream, it can come too. Congratulations to both of you.
Thanks, Army. You know, I really owe a lot to Gene here. I mean, he helped me through the weekend, got me tuned in. You know, he can see what the truck's doing where I can't by trying to do everything myself, you know. But I want to thank all the people of American Gladiators for their support, High Tech Trailer, and above all, I want to thank my family for their support.
How about it? Good team. Looks like you guys could be holding a secret hand for the whole year.
Yeah, we got two of them mounted right up here on the hood. This Chevrolet Samson, we're making a presence known here this weekend. You know, it's hot out here. Dan and me, we've been, you know, butting heads together and trying to come up with a combination, and we think we finally come on it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Gary, for a couple of years now, there's almost been a drought. We haven't had a chance to talk about the Chevrolet people, but this could be the new Chevrolet team to keep an eye on. Back to you.
Well, with that victory, Patrick moves into 6th place in the point standings in the PENDA Point Series. Andy Brass continues to lead over Paul Schaefer, Dan Runte, Kirk Dabney, and Colt Cobra rounding out the top 4. That will wrap it up from Bloomsburg. Our congratulations to Dan Patrick. Army with some highlights of round 1. Here's a look at that first monster truck in the 4s. Dan Patrick in the Chevy Samson, sponsored by American Gladiator. A watch on the run. Patrick had a very rough landing, knocking off the rear tire, and that sent Dan and Gene Patterson scrambling to get it fixed. But the word we're getting is he'll be ready for round 2.
Yeah, that 4.9 something wound up being a 4.98, Gary.
Round 1 competition, Runte goes up against Paul Schaefer. As we told you earlier, Schaefer was knocked out. Here is the run to put him on the trailer, and there's the margin of victory for Dan Runte in the Power Wheels Bigfoot.
But you got to remember, in this sport, a quick loser can possibly come back, so it's to your advantage to run hard. Schaefer goes, look at this, a 5.18.
In qualifying, Andy Brass. Now, Andy Brass, normally the first or second fastest in qualifying. Today, he was the 6th fastest. Had some trouble in qualifying.
The problem, as you can see, it was in the chassis. The horsepower was there. The truck just wasn't handling right. It wasn't going where he was pointing it.
In the Carolina Crusher, there is Pam Botters out of Hagerstown, Maryland in the far lane. And it was Gary Porter right at the very end, really made up some ground.
Exactly. Pam, let me tell you something. This Botters team, along with people like the Hall brothers, they're starting to close in on these guys. Porter won the battle, but he may have lost the war because he lost lane choice. This right lane is almost mystic about how much horsepower it'll hold. And you watch, everybody gets quick qualifying time. I'm predicting it's going to go the right side today.
Right lane belongs to Runte, left lane, far lane. He's in trouble. Gary Porter, oh, he hit that water barrier over there.
Yeah, the Yodoc barrier system comes in handy. They're designed right down the road from here, so if you're going to test one, I guess this is the place to do it.
Well, you can see the damage, despite the Hydra barrier, you can see the damage to the front of the Carolina Crusher. The front was crushed that time. Now watch again, the right side of your screen.
The problem is in the lane. Andy Brass had trouble over there. Gary is too. See, the trucks are not coming down straight. They're coming down goofy. Then they hit water barriers.
That'd really be goofy.
Yeah.
You get wet and goofy.
8 pounds per gallon. That's a couple thousand pounds he's tagging there, but the barrier did exactly what it was supposed to do. It absorbed the energy, and if it'll absorb the energy of a 10,000-pound monster truck, they got to work for highways.
Yeah, it stopped just on a dime once it hit that water barrier. There they can survey the damage to the truck, but Gary Porter is okay. So we'll take this break as they clean up the lane and come back for more of round 2 competition.
Now, Dabney's teamed up with Marty Garza. Garza's out of the great state of Texas. He brings some knowledge from Dad's side. Dabney comes from Indiana. He's a Hoosier. He brings some knowledge there, and together, they're going to be players before this year's over. They run the mid-motor setup. They run a new concept in suspension. They seem to be able to put horsepower down, but they're in the bad lane. Whoa!
Oh, but he pulls off the victory.
Made a fool out of me.
Well, he was a faster qualifier than Andy Brass, but Brass, because of the last round, had lane choice. But Overkill takes the victory. Andy Brass almost crashed there in the shutdown area.
Yeah, but the big story is what happened in No Man's Land. First jump okay, No Man's Land, our groundhog camera show you he was crooked at that last jump, Gary.
Kirk Dabney wins it. He's with Army.
Good win, but more important than that, it came out of the left lane. How did you get it to work on the left side for you?
Well, Army, we go out there anticipating a hard run against Bigfoot. We really knew we were down on the lane. We just really put that out of our mind and give the truck 110%. That's what happened.
Can anybody else win out of the left lane?
I really don't know. I would say the left lane pulled around. I was a little out of shape. I'd like to be over in that right lane.
And here once again, competition from round 1.
You know, in any kind of motorsport, there's a thing called chemistry. Pit crews have it, drivers have it, everything. Fred Schaefer lost the chemistry that he had last year. And that's not taking anything away from the guys he's trying to put in that second truck driver's seat. There's just something missing.
Well, Fred had to knock out his teammate to make it to round 2, and Patrick now in round 2, trying to back up that 4.98 from the first round, the fastest ever. The first monsters in the 4-second bracket.
He can do it. He's in a good lane. Oh, no!
Now, will that be a DQ?
I believe so. The rules say both tires have to hit the object you're jumping.
There it is. It's official. Sampson has been DQ'd. It was going to be a quick one. There's Fred Schaefer's barefoot at 5.25.
That was a good run at 5.25.
But right here is where Sampson gets disqualified, misses with the left rear, And now we're going to show you some videotape highlights of my run earlier today, Army.
What do they say? The difference between men and boys is the price of their toys.
Ford.
Supercharged by BDS. Keep going.
What you're saying is these trucks are almost identical.
Yeah, if you're in the decal business, you got all kind of decals out there right now. All the sponsors represented on the side of these guys. And, you know, they do bring a lot of exposure to their national sponsors, and that's what it's all about. Looky here.
Near lane. Oh, Runte really drilled brass. He got the whole shot, and it was all Dan Runte.
Dan Runte caught a brass asleep at the wheel.
Boy, that's something you just don't see.
No, well, the ET wasn't there either, a 560, so.
Take a look again, but the left side there, lane nearest the camera, and a big hole shot, a big margin right there for Dan Runte. And here is Dan Runte with Army Armstrong.
Looks like a real hard race between you and Andy, but it looked like he had some kind of a problem on the starting line. Were you aware of that?
No, I wasn't. He didn't say anything. We all got radio communications. He didn't say anything on the line. It appears he lost his brakes on the line, so he had to go up to neutral to stay at the line without falling through into the red light beam. It was real tough. I figured he'd be more of a run than that, but with the problem like that, you can't do anything but what he did.
This is Fred Schaefer's qualifying run as we welcome you back to Trucks and Tractor Power. Now, most people know when to heed the warning, don't try this at home, but not the men who pilot the tough trucks. In the near lane, nearest to you right now, Fred Schaefer.
We're talking the Dodge Ford, but you also got Firestone and Goodyear. You got bragging rights, sponsors' names on the sides of the vehicle. They're both going to the lanes.
All right, Fred Schaefer near, Dan Runte the far lane. This is for, as they say, all the marbles here in Bloomsburg.
They leave together, first jump together, no man's land,
like
Gary.
The Ford.
Yeah.
The Ford, Dan Runte in the far lane. Dan Runte takes the victory. Fred Schaefer at a 5.067. But look at Runte, 4.96.
The quickest ever, a 4.96 for the Bigfoot Power Wheels team. Dan Runte doing the driving in the final on a beautiful picture-perfect run. Both drivers, nothing to be ashamed of here. This is a clean race.
And there is the margin of victory as we go down trackside, Army.
The fastest monster truck run in the history of the sport is
4.967. Dan Patrick was the first to go into the Ford today with a Chevrolet, but you guys with the Fords came back and went, that's the quickest ever.
We've been shooting for Fords all weekend, Army. I don't know what to say, but got to thank the great crew we got, Bob and Ford Motor Company, for letting me be out here. I love it.
I'll tell you what, you're doing a fine job. You're an awfully good driver when you came into the thing. Jim, come over here real quick. You got to be proud of this kid. You guys are the quickest in the world now.
He's coming on. I tell you what, we talked about it. He knew what he had to do. And the truck, we kept giving a little more. We're squeezing the truck tight. I got to admit that. But this Ford's coming on. The Firestone's bit. Fastest time, fastest monster truck ever. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Hey, if I was going to buy a pickup truck tomorrow, what kind should it be?
Better go buy a Ford.
496, Bob.
All right, bud.
You can hear the emotion in Dan Runte's voice. As Runte closes just a bit, he's second in the points. Brass continues to lead, then it's Schaefer, Paul Schaefer, and Kirk Dabney. So a big day for Dan Runte and the Bigfoot crew. The Power Wheels Bigfoot takes the victory here in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. Hope you enjoyed today's fast monster truck racing. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, Dan Patrick, who looked so promising in Bloomsburg, broke something in qualifying and makes a quick and unceremonious round one exit. And of course, Fred Schaefer goes on to round two competition with his clocking of 5.35. And here's a different look from the crush cam. Watch this, Army, and that's why we call it the crush cam.
You ever wonder what it looked like to get hit in the face? Right, you saw it.
Gary Wiggins, Carolina Crusher, is here in Springfield this weekend. Gary Porter is repairing the truck, which we saw in the opening that he wrecked a week ago in Bloomsburg.
But once again, he goes into the infamous left lane, and it cost him a win.
And there's a look at Pam Vodders against Paul Schaefer. Vodders in that far lane. Now, Vodders in the round one competition had some trouble in the shutdown area right here. Makes a hard left-hand turn and heads for the fence.
Oh, she had through the fence, Gary.
Well, she was all right. I think she was more concerned about any damage to the truck than to the driver. So we'll come back with more action from Springfield, Missouri on Trucks and Tractor Power. Well, a pair of Fords right here. The Power Wheels Bigfoot, the nearest lane to the camera, and that's the lane everybody wants to be in. So let's see what happens here. Colt Cobra in Snakebite in the far lane, a pair of Fords.
Well, if any animal in the world is going to like gooey, slimy weather, it's got to be a snake. Let's see if he can do it. Hey, he's out on him.
Oh, he had a good hole shot. Yeah, well, I don't know. It looked like Runte got him at the very end by perhaps a headlight. 5:38. 5:38 for Dan Runte to a 5:46. Indeed, the Snakebite had the hole shot. But somehow that Ford Power Wheels Bigfoot got down in no man's land, hooked up the horsepower, and made a run at him.
Snakebite moves on him and hangs just a little bit. Right there is what happened. He hung just a little bit. Dan Runte got down, planted the horsepower, and went on to win.
So Dan Runte takes the victory, and we're going to take the unique look from our crush cam as Runte goes right overhead, as he will take the victory, and Colt Cobra will have to hang around to see if he's the fast loser.
Tell you what, right lane is good, left lane's bad. Simple as that.
Yeah, actually, Army, that pass there, I was just explaining to Gary, the crew chief here, didn't feel like it was hooking up as hard as it did the pass before. It turned in a real close time to the pass we made before, but it just seems like that lane's starting to go away too. I'm not sure what we're going to do here in the next round.
We had the same scenario at Bloomsburg, and one guy came out and won the whole thing. That was you out of the lane that nobody else could win out of. Could that be the scenario here tonight? That left lane could be the lane to be in the final?
It could very well be, Army. You know, like I said, it just seems like it's a little slower off the line. The Ford Bigfoot Power Wheels is really doing a good job. I mean, it's dialed into the track like this. It's working well. It just seems like it's not pulling as hard, and it may be the lane to be in.
And that could be the guy to beat this evening, Dan Runte. Of course, that was earlier, and this is now. Fred Schaefer, the near lane, the big Dodge against the Ford of Dan Runte in the far lane for the right to meet Andy Brass for the championship here in Springfield. As they stage, who's it going to be?
Well, I tell you, you can cut the drama out there with a knife.
Again, both very slow off the
Schaefer's
line.
in trouble, Gary.
Now, Fred Schaefer had a very poor run as Dan Runte advances to the championship round at 5:43, but not a good run for Fred Schaefer. He had trouble with that truck. He got off to the right. And there he sits down there in the shutoff area. So obviously a problem with that particular. As we take a look again from the crush cam.
Yeah, but the word we're going to get is when Fred finished this run, he's already knocked out one crush cam this year. This was the second.
Well, he's taking out his anchor on the crush cam as he gets eliminated from competition.
And it's worked for him all year long, so you don't mess with success. You know, if
everybody else is running the cush, he's going to go down the inside and try the pole.
Or if they're on the bottom, he'll run up top. But tonight, he just got to go to the other end.
Yeah, he has no choice but to take that left lane because Andy Brass had no choice. He takes the right. Look at him spin the tires.
A lot of wheel slippage on the starting line.
And it is. And, was Brass disqualified?
I don't know. The rules say those front two tires must hit the object they're jumping.
Apparently not. 5:36. They give Andy Brass the 5:36. Dan Runte the 5:56. So Andy Brass wins it. There was some question there at the finish if Andy Brass had made a legal pass. Watch again. Watch the left side of your screen and watch the far side. Watch the far tires.
They have to make contact. Yeah, they hit something. Look how far over he went.
Man, he's talking about high-siding a truck.
But that puts him in the national points lead. That's bad. We completely forgot about that. Here's another shot of it. He was almost out of the view of the camera, Gary.
Looking at the current points, 720, the margin for Andy Brass over Runte, then Schaefer, Dabney, and Colt Cobra, and here's your winner.
Gary, I tell you what, the big story could be right here on his license plate. Andy Brass could have the #1 truck this year. Very honestly, you're just beating up on these guys.
Well, we've been doing a pretty good job with the truck this year. You know, we come out with this truck. This is the old Wildfoot truck, so we're running the same truck as what we won the points championship with last year. So I feel we got just a little bit of an edge. You know, we come out here with an older truck. I know the gearing to use in the truck. The motors are the same, though. The John Kazi Henry's been doing us a real well job. You know, we just got our pill system, the air meters and stuff, you know, we've been using. We got all the readings from last year, so I can pretty well dial the truck in right off the bat. I don't got to sit out here and make all my runs and try to get the truck dialed in. So it works out pretty well for us.
The third PENDA Points Series win this year for Andy Brass. We hope you enjoyed today's monster truck racing from Springfield, Missouri. Our congratulations to Andy Brass. For Army Armstrong, I'm Gary Lee. We'll see you next week on Trucks and Tractor Power. Want to take you back now to qualifying to show you the fastest pass ever in monster truck competition. This is qualifying Andy Brass with a 4.93.
The previous quick was a 4.96 set by the other Bigfoot truck of Runte, but Andy Brass came out and laid the gauntlet down with a 93.
And Andy Brass would follow that up with the best time of round one, punching out the Dodge Express of Ray Portkowski. Andy's run was a 5.15. So this, once again, a highlight from round one competition. Also in round one was Colt Cobra taking on Mark Hall in the Executioner. And watch this wild finish by Hall.
Mark Hall is one of the guys that's trying to get a luck streak going for him, and it was not to be at this event. He was all over the shutdown area.
A wild run in round one by Dan Patrick, who gets the front end up in the air. Talk about a white knuckle ride.
Dan, it seemed like it almost wanted to come over backwards on you. What caused that?
I shifted late into high gear in qualifying. I shifted too soon, or I'm sorry, too late in first gear. So I wanted to settle down. I wasn't going to settle down, so I just pushed a button to hit her in the high, and boy, it got up there.
Also in round one, Pam Botters DQ. She had the red light. She was going up against Fred Schaefer in barefoot.
I'll tell you what, Pam was in the lane. It was less than ideal. Schaefer was running good. That she did what she had to do. Simple as that. If she could have cut him down on the starting line, she'd have gone into the next round. Not to be the case. But also in that round, Gary
Wiggins in the Carolina Crusher was also a DQ as he goes out of bounds.
So all of a sudden,
Runte.
The story of the night is you don't want to go on the left side of this racetrack.
And here is the crash cam looking right at you over your head. Duck, we're coming back. Stay with us. There's a look at Andy Brass, the Bigfoot cruiser. Nearest the camera, the far lane, overkill, Kirk Dabney.
Remember the discussion in the pit area? Nobody wants the left lane. Brass, quick time. Dabney ran him tough for the first half. He runs him all the way out the end, Gary. Who won it?
Well, Andy Brass takes the victory. His clocking is 5:11 ET. Kirk Dabney is 5:36, and there is a look at Bigfoot going away from you.
Yeah, this is a view we haven't seen before. Look what happens in no man's land. He's still on the throttle and picking up all kind of dust, and then, of course, he's going to fly right over the top of us. And he's going forward hunting.
Yeah, Snake has that face that only a mother could love.
Gene Patterson out of the driver's seat into the crew chief position. He's watching over Dan Patrick's operation. It's made him a winner one time this year. It's a bad lane. Let's see if they maybe figure something out. A lot of air. Chassis change didn't work for the Chevy. He's coming across track.
Trouble. Dan Patrick, I think, was DQ'd. Snake bite, Colt Cobra, 5:18 will advance. And Dan Patrick was in trouble right off the start.
Boy, Gene Patterson, the crew chief, he'll be optimistic about it. He'll say, well, we finished second.
Yeah, but as they say, second is the first loser.
Yeah, but Gary, when there's only two races, the guy that wins finishes next to last, right?
You do have a way of putting a
slant on it, Army. You got to be an optimist if you're going to be in motorsport. You better be optimistic.
Coming right at you, Sampson gets in trouble right here. Veers off to the right, and he is disqualified. Let's go down trackside down here from a disappointed Dan Patrick.
Dan, you guys played every card you had. I think that I'm just going to go right back to the same thing I'm talking to everybody else about. You're on a bad side tonight.
Well, we broke an axle last night, and I'm just wondering if we're going to try it and see if that's what it was. My biggest concern when I went there was the fast loser comes back this round. And my biggest concern was if I, didn't get him because he had a faster time, I was more concerned about making a good legitimate pass in this lane, to get back fast loser. But it got squirrely on me. And, when it gets squirrely, the only thing you can do is just shut her down.
Well, being squirrely is an indication of breaking an axle.
Yeah, the problems we've had in the past, the truck always goes straight. When it doesn't go straight, it's usually a breakage of some kind.
Dan Runte is presently second in the PENDA Points Series championship behind his teammate Andy Brass. And Fred Schaefer's been playing catch-up so far this season. It looks like Runte by a wheel.
Yeah, but I tell you what, he was airing it out on the other end. Schaefer was pulling him back.
5:26 for Runte. Now remember, the fast loser, as we told you, will come back. There's Fred Schaefer's 5:31. That's a good run.
Yeah.
We could see Fred come back.
I think that'll get him back in. Watch Runte from the end zone, if you will. Camera, it yaws on him here real quick. Watch this. See, it'll pitch and then yaw on him.
Well, he takes the victory. He'll come back for more competition. The Power Wheels Bigfoot against the Ford Snakebite. Colt Cobra, there's a look at Snakebite, and there's a look at Dan Runte. Runte was the second fastest qualifier this evening.
What you're looking at is a toy manufacturer's dream come true. Every little boy in America likes Bigfoot, or they like Colt Cobra with the Snakebite. So
Snakebite was the third fast qualifier, so this is a real good matchup right here. Ford against Ford. It's Snakebite. Snakebite takes him in that favorable lane. Snakebite, Colt Cobra, a 5:16. I believe that was faster than what Andy Brass just turned in Bigfoot.
That was, and Power was one of 31, but a 16 is quick.
Well, there's a tight shot of Andy Brass, and there's the nose of Snakebite as they stage here for the championship. Crew chief looks on. His wife, a little nervous back there in the staging area.
But Andy Brass, the crew, did make a change in the truck. They made a gear change. He's out on him. Oh, half track. Something goes away.
Snakebite.
Boy, Mrs. Brass, a tough break. Snakebite takes a win with a 5:18, but Andy Brass was reading him the riot act, so something went away at about half track.
Yeah, that was mechanical because Andy was right there until something happened, as you say, Army, half track, and Colt Cobra takes the win. So what appeared to be a good opportunity for Andy Brass to gain some ground on Dan Runte, his teammate in the point standings, went awry because of the mechanical problems.
Exactly right. Well, you know, this is racing. That's what it's all about. We're not taking anything away from the old Snakebite crew. He said he was going to drill him. He did exactly what he said he was going to do.
Looking right at you. Let's go to Victory Lane. Army with your winner.
Yeah. Well, dreams come true, partner. You got a bunch of fans here now.
That's right. Springfield's always been good to us. We came back here again tonight. Cool air came out. Truck started running faster. We ran consistent all night. This truck's definitely a winner. You saw it here tonight. We're going right to the top.
Talk about being pumped up. There's the sign of the snake, the number one side. There's your champion. As we'll take a look now at the point standings, over 1,000-point margin now for Andy Brass, and it's Dan Runte, Fred Schaefer, Colt Cobra, and Paul Schaefer now in 5th position.
Also in the first round competition, Paul Schaefer comes out with the wing, and it seemed to work for him as he goes up against one of the hot-coming teams, the Hall Brother Racing team, but Mark Hall, no match for the wing this time, Gary.
Colt Cobra, the second quick qualifier here this afternoon, would take on Fred Schaefer in barefoot. Fred Schaefer loses this one at a 5:35. Colt wins it at 5:08. So Colt will continue on into round 2. The Bigfoot Power Wheels version. The fast qualifier here this afternoon with Dan Runte. He'll be in the lane closest to our camera shot right there. Ray Porkowski in the Dodge. So it's Dodge against Ford here in round 2.
Both trucks working a line. Dan Runte is dead on that tree. Truck, that's just almost a perfect run. Whoa, Porkowski's having some trouble.
Oh, yes, some major problems as he takes down the fence. And you can see the damage under the truck. He lost some suspension there.
The rear end went away on that truck is what caused the problem. He did a yeoman's job of keeping it at least right side up. Something broke on that truck in the back. Let's see if we can see on the replay.
On the right side of your screen, watch Ray Porkowski.
Okay, lays it down in no man's land when it, right there it broke. Yeah, broke before the second jump. See the rear steer? Right now, he's just along for the ride. Hello, fence.
That fence is taking a beating this weekend. Pam Vodders found the fence earlier in the weekend, so we'll clean up this mess and we'll come back to Springfield with more side-by-side monster truck racing.
Gary, we're standing down here with the Dodge boys, the owner, the driver, and everything. First of all, Ray, I'm glad to see you're okay. Did you have any idea that you were going to have a problem like that when you came over the first jump?
No, I had no idea. I mean, as soon as the truck hit the ground, I thought it was still together until we went about 30, 40 feet, and then I knew something was coming apart.
Okay, what did come apart?
I think one of the Heim joints on the 4-link bars broke, and that started it.
Okay, is that where we were seeing the blue smoke come from, Fred? You know, this morning there was some concern over the vehicle tracking itself. You had everything lined up, and something still lets go in the rear end.
Yeah, Army, after the 4-bar bracket broke, then everything started crashing, everything. That's what holds the rear end straight. Tire got in the shock absorber, tore it off, shock oil all over everything.
Fellas, I'm just going to be real blunt with you. Is there any way to catch these Fords this year?
Oh, we're going to do it.
They got a real good lead on us, Army. That suspension they got is working real good on that track. We're going to have to make some changes.
Dabney is an awfully good driver. He's always dealt with equipment that wasn't really up to spec. On the other side of the ledger, Andy Brass, class equipment all the way through. He also a good driver.
Oh, Brass just does ease that fender by ever so close, but Brass wins it in the cruiser at 5:16. So Andy Brass continues to head toward another world championship. There's Kirk Dabney's 5.28. Now remember, the fast loser from this round will come back, so Dabney could stand a chance of seeing more action this afternoon.
You're exactly right, and that's one of the things I really like about the sport. They try to keep side-by-side racing. We've got a good race right here. Like I say, Dabney left on him, but the suspension that Fred Schaefer alluded to a little bit earlier knows what he has to do is get past this Chevrolet, and the Chevrolet knows he's got an uphill battle. Paul Schaefer has proven himself in the sport of mud racing, a past world champion. Right now comes out to go monster truck racing with no wing on the far side. Both of them are in trouble.
Pulls off. This could be a mistake. Now let's watch Paul. Paul gets his going again, continues on. Colt will be disqualified, and Paul could win this one with the slowest winning time in the history of monster truck racing.
Yeah, but Gary, when you go to the bank on Monday morning, they don't care how fast or how slow it was. They just want to make sure the money was good.
Well, the money was good, but it's a 1675 for the Monster Patrol, and Colt Cobra was DQ'd. So a mistake for Colt to drive out. Oh, look at this. Meanwhile, the man who stands as our fast loser, Kirk Dabney, appears to be having problems. What if he's not able to continue? Let's go back and take a look at the replay. Cobra comes right at you. Now, right here, he gets in trouble and pulls off. This was a mistake. He should have gone on over that second batch of cars. Meanwhile, here was your winner.
Real quick, it sounded like the motor just cut clean on you when you went over the first jump. But a win is a win is a win. And I know you take them any way you can, but do you have any idea what happened?
Well, the motor hesitated and it like died, and I got out of it and I looked over and I seen snakebite broke something. I said, I better finish this race.
Finish at a 1675, slow but quick enough to go to the semis.
Get in and get ready, we'll be done.
Well, let's go down trackside to Army Armstrong.
Well, Gary, the drama was short-lived. The drive shaft in the overkill truck, there was just no way they could get it fixed in time. Operations manager George Carpenter came over and said, look, fellas, let's be above board about it. We're running for points. Schaefer's ready to go. There's no way they can get this thing ready to go. The ruling is it has to be a competitive run. They could piecemeal it and just go to the line and get their points and everything, but everybody wants to see racing. And I got a feeling that Fred Schaefer will do the same thing for these guys, too. So, the stage is set. Schaefer's back in a Dodge, but he is going to be in a bad lane. Let's see what happens. I tell you what, Gary, the drama still built. Even when Fred went to the starting line, the motor leaned out. They actually checked the kill switch, but when they checked the kill switch and went to start up again, it wouldn't start. That's why the drama was building, because the crew members had to come out, prime the engine, get him going again. Now, let's go racing.
Well, you have to wonder. Fred gets a second chance. They have some trouble getting that Dodge fired. But here it is. There's a good look at the barefoot Dodge. Fred Schaefer out of Pontoon Beach, Illinois.
The big question, can that big Dodge who just got fired be like the Phoenix and come back to win this thing?
Come back from the ashes of defeat. We'll find out. Dan Runte staging the Power Wheels Bigfoot. He is second in the PENDA Point Series right now behind his teammate Andy Brass.
Every win today has come out of the lane that Runte's in right now. Schaefer has got to throw caution to the wind and go after this kid. It's not going to work here.
Nope, Runte takes this one again in that near lane. Runte takes the victory. He goes on to the championship round, a 5:11. And of course, Dan was the fast qualifier earlier today. So Runte wins that one with the 5:11 ET.
You know, this sport is going and growing, and every week, everybody in their heart thinks they can get these guys. So far, it's not been the case.
In the semis, remember, it was Dan Runte's 5:11 to Andy Brass's 5:13 that gave Runte lane choice, and to no one's surprise, he takes the near lane.
Exactly. Let's see what's going to happen. We've been talking all day long. It's time to race right now.
They were ever so close to semis, which would indicate this should be a real close one. Oh, look at Runte. Not really all that close.
Whoa, Runte came out of... Boy, Andy Brass had to make some chassis adjustments. Runte goes at 06. Woo, quick time of the day, a 5:06 on the final. But Andy Brass knew he's going to have to take a shot in the dark, do some chassis changes. It just didn't work for him. He powered up in no man's land. Runte goes to the other end, Gary.
So Runte wins to trying to close the gap on Andy Brass, who's leading now in the PENDA Points Championship. We take a look again. And Brass just could not get that truck to settle down in no man's land. And Dan Runte takes the victory, and he's standing by pit side with Army Armstrong.
Well, Dan, I tell you what, congratulations to you and the crew. Everybody really had to work for this one.
Thanks, Army. Yeah, they did. You know, the crew's been working real hard between the two trucks. We got to give them all the credit in the world. It's just not everything, you know, to come out here and be able to work with a bunch of guys like we work with, including the guys back at the shop, take care of us, build reliable trucks, along with Ford Motor Company. It's just great, Army. I love it.
Here's a treat for you. We'll give you a hedgehog view of victory. Coming right at you, up and over. Now let's go back trackside and talk with Andy Brass.
Gary, we're down here with Andy Brass. And Andy, I know you had to pull everything out going to the left side, but it looked like you got a whole lot of air in between the jumps.
Yeah, we tried something way different that round. We knew we was going in. We had to take the left lane there. We knew the lane was going to be bad. Nobody come out of the left lane with a win all day. So we was watching the times there, and we knew we was, like you say, we was going to have to pull something out of the hat. So we just geared down low and tried a third gear takeoff, something we've been wanting to try. We figured, well, we didn't have nothing to lose. We was going to go ahead and try it. We was hoping we could slip a little bit off the line, but it did pull harder than what we thought it would, and it launched us off the set. We thought we was going to slip a little bit over the first set and could pick it up between the cars, but it didn't happen.
We can show you now what we were talking about with the Ford dominance in the PENDA Points Series. Andy Brass continues to lead. Dan Runte has closed in ever so slightly, however. Fred Schaefer back in third, then the Ford of Colt Cobra and Paul Schaefer's Chevrolet in the fifth spot. And Dan Runte has closed in just a bit on Andy Brass.
Yeah, I just heard Runte look over to Brass and said, boy, the only thing better than this is Mama's cooking.
And Mama's Cooking's not that far away because these guys are both in the St. Louis, Missouri area, the birthplace of monster truck racing about 10 years ago. So our congratulations to Dan Runte, who does, in fact, close in just a bit in the points chase. Now only some 750 points behind Andy Brass in the Bigfoot. Oh, this has got to hurt. Oh, that'll get your attention. Our congratulations to Dan Runte. We'll see you next week. Here is a look at your fast qualifier today. This is Colt Cobra, and he had a clocking of 5.37 in the Ford. And look at the air, a tough landing right there for your fast qualifier.
Now, Dan Patrick, the only Chevrolet to really be able to flex his muscle this year. Patrick, a professional racer, decided he's going to step up and run with these guys, but in order to do it, you got to attack the track, and that run shows us he's not afraid to go after the throat.
Rough landing, but a good run. Now, once again, we show you some highlights from round one. Dan Patrick and Fred Schaefer. Fred in the far lane, and the Barefoot Dodge just does eke out the victory over Dan Patrick. Barefoot a 538 ET.
Yeah, but Dan Patrick with a 541 can still be a player and get back into the loser bracket, Gary.
And also in round one, it was Colt Cobra against Don Van Loo.
Van Loo still trying to get the handle on that Arizona Sports Shirt Chevrolet. Just not going to be the player. Everybody's landing different. You know what I'm saying? Watch these trucks. Nobody is doing things like the other guy.
Mark Hall in the Executioner has not made it into round two very often this year, but in a mild upset, he would advance with Ray Porkowski going out of bounds.
I'll tell you what, Mark Hall and his brother are good monster truck people. They just need one thing. All racers need it at one time or another. They just need to get a good break. Patrick kind of looked like a college professor there with those glasses. Let's go race.
A number of these trucks are utilizing Dan Patrick built chassis.
Right. Exactly.
All right, the first pairing now in round two competition. Snakebite a little late to stage on the throttle, and it's going to be
Snakebite.
Colt Cobra.
Whoa, Patrick almost high sides, puts it back down. Colt Cobra with a 521.
That was some of the best driving, as we always indicate. As we look at Dan Patrick's 534, some of the best drivings in the shutdown area. Dan got in trouble and drove out of it.
Exactly, but you got to remember, on a four-wheel drive vehicle, if you can get one tire to touch something, it'll help pull you back straight most of the time.
Yeah, and keep your foot in it. When you get high-sided, don't let out of the throttle. Keep your foot in it and drive through it. That's exactly what he did. Let's go down to the track now and visit with Colt Cobra.
I tell you what, Colt, it's amazing how close the competition is here tonight.
Yeah, that's right, Army. This year, everybody's coming on strong. As you saw, the American Gladiator, new guy this year, coming on strong. Ran the first 4-second pass this year earlier. I knew I had to be strong out here. I'm doing the best we can. We came out on top. We're looking for the next round. whoever it is, we're going to get them.
As we have documented before, it is now do or die time for Fred Schaefer. He needs to knock out Andy Brass and, of course, Dan Runte every chance. He's given a chance right now as he'll stage against the big blue Ford of Andy Brass. Bigfoot against the barefoot Dodge. Well, Fred Schaefer trying to gain some points in this season-long championship. It is still door handle to door handle, and who won it? Oh, that was too close to call visually.
They're still
Andy
racing.
Brass, a 5:38. Let's get the time on Fred Schaefer as Brass stops. Yes, Fred Schaefer does it. 5:35.
That's exactly what he had to do, man. The pressure was on both of them. You talk about a good, clean race, just kick back and watch it. The light goes green, they go to the other end. No man's land, they settle down, make horsepower, pull a trigger, and fly to the finish line. And it's a DODGE night.
Watch again. Andy Brass has a very rough landing. This is a pulling track. There's a ledge right there, and he gets off that ledge. See, right there, and has difficulty hanging on. But Fred Schaefer has to be extremely happy. He's down there with Army Armstrong.
Well, the big story has been Barefoot coming out of hibernation. I believe you may have turned the corner, Fred.
Army, after last weekend, we turned every bolt nut on this truck because we're going to do it one way or the other.
So, could this be Fred Schaefer's night in the Barefoot Dodge?
They roll into the lights. Schaefer goes in early. Normally doesn't do that. Snakebite rolls in. This is going to be a war.
Who's it going to be, Army?
Ford, big time on the big end.
Snakebite as the Dodge crew conversing now from crew to the truck. But Colt Cobra at a 5:08. We'll continue on. Fred Schaefer heads for the barn at 5:36.
Well, we thought it was going to change. That's not to be the case. Ford still flexing his muscle tonight.
Take a look again. Fred Schaefer coming right at you.
Watch the front end of the truck. See, he powers up right here and keeps it up. He needs to get those front tires back down on the ground so they can pull him.
Well, so once again, Fred Schaefer knocked out by this guy right here, Colt Cobra.
Number was a 5:08. That's awfully good, but you knew you got to pull a good number to beat Fred.
Yeah, Fred's really coming on with the Dodge people over there. Us and our Ford program, we're a privateer out here trying to make it. With the Ford backing us, we're out there running as fast as we can. We turned to 5:08. Hopefully that's good enough to stand up for lane choice going into the final against another Ford.
Well, remember, in the semifinal round, Colt Cobra was actually faster than Dan Runte, so he gets lane choice. He takes the lane nearest us.
And he is kind of flirting with disaster there because, well, not in the final he's not, but there's a little down dip to the right side. But I guess he figures, hey, it's a final. Let's pull the trigger and go for this thing. Both drivers, there you go, Gary. What he did, he burst the throttle left lane and spooked the driver in the far lane, made him back on the throttle, so he just flat out thought him on that one.
That's no drag racing stunt, is it not?
Yeah, exactly. You burp the throttle, you make the other guy leave, then you stop. Then he stops and you go. Dan Runte got foxed on that one.
Dan Runte, red lights, he disqualified. Look again, watch the truck left side.
Now watch him, he'll move, then the other guy will move, but he'll stop right there, and then he stops, boom.
Runte, red lights, and Colt Cobra takes the victory. Army?
Hey, you take them any way you can get them, but that was sweet, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. You know, Snakebite's been running hard this year, and, you know, we came back, you know, last weekend we got a win, come back hard and strong, and Snakebite's in the finals, and won. Number one.
But the lesson to be learned here is to watch the Christmas tree. Don't watch the guy next to you.
Yeah, but the good Lord gives you something called peripheral vision. When something moves, you're going to move with it too. You know, when thousandths of a second counts, that's what it's all about. It's kind of like a slide job in a race car. Now, the replay on the screen is going to show us real quick. Watch what happens. Burp, stop, go, go. Now we got a good race for us.
Yeah, but it's all over right there. He won it right there, and here is your winner.
Tell you what, Colt, I bet that guy's life passed in front of him when you burped that throttle and the light didn't go red on him.
I've been trying to play the lights. Lights are a big part of the racing here when it's this close. I thought it was going. I started to go and stopped, and I guess I brought my motor up. He went. I didn't know what happened to him, if he had broke or what, or if he was right behind me. Just stayed with it all the way down through there, and looks like we came out with a win. Everybody here has been teasing us all night about our little puppy motor, but I guess the puppy's loose tonight.
I'll tell you, the puppy was howling tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you, Army.
Well, with all the activity here this evening, Fred Schaefer falls back to 4th in the PENDA points standings. We'll take a look now as Andy Brass continues to lead, but closing in is Dan Runte. And Army Armstrong, I believe, has caught up with Dan Runte.
Bigfoot Power Wheels went to the final, Gary, but a little bit of a burp. I don't mean a belch, I mean a horsepower burp. Cost you a little bit out there.
Yeah, it sure did, Army. You know, we went out there and red lighted. The truck was running excellent. Can't complain a bit about that. It was hooking up off the line. He threw us back in the lane we wanted to be in. He did a little burp. He got stopped. I did a burp, and I didn't. I guess that's what happens.
Sounds like a dyed gel night. Some automotive indigestion there at the starting line. Our congratulations to Colt Cobra. For Army Armstrong, I'm Gary Lee. We'll see you next week on Trucks and Tractor Power. Now here's news of an exciting video release from Diamond P Sports. So you can see how evenly matched this field appears to be. Now this was in qualifying. As we look back, a rough ride here for Colt Cobra. Look at this landing.
What happens, the right lane at Canfield has a unique, about a 4-foot drop off. The drivers are aware of it. When you're flying through the air, first thing you want to do when you hit is go to the left. That's what he was trying to do.
In round 1 competition, Ray Borkowski would strike a somewhat similar pose in defeating Paul Schaefer in the Monster Patrol. Hang on, yeah, he does so.
He comes as close to high side without going over as anybody.
In other highlights from round 1, Mark Hall, the executioner, Fred Schaefer in barefoot. Hall has a mechanical problem. The barefoot truck goes on to record a 5:18 ET.
We told you earlier, the barefoot boys are on a mission. They're kind of like the Blues Brothers today.
9th fastest qualifier, Don Van Loo against Dan Runte, the 4th fast qualifier, and Runte takes the victory in round 1. And again, some trouble in the shutdown area for Don Van Loo.
Right lane, 4-foot drop off. Remember, that's in the back of everybody's mind that runs that lane.
Back end was wanting to come around on me. We saved it. I don't know how, but it was wanting to take a roll for me.
Did you think it was going over?
I thought at any minute it was going over. Yeah, it's real close.
Other competition from round 1, Dan Patrick in Sampson against Gary Porter in the Carolina Crusher.
Luck of the qualifying puts these two bad Chevrolets against each other.
And all these guys are having trouble in that one lane in the shutdown area, the lane nearest the grandstand. There's Gary Porter's 5:29, but it was Dan Patrick at 5:15 that won that.
Today, the snake got her.
Hey there, youngster, you're on television. Wipe your face off. You too.
We'll be back in just a minute. Special chassis they're putting together to allow to get that travel in there. They know you got to make the wheel travel to be on the ground, Gary.
Fred Schaefer in the lane nearest the camera. In the barefoot truck taking on Dan Runte, it is for Dan Runte. So Runte continues to close in on Andy Brass, and once again, Fred Schaefer really needed this victory to move up in the point standing.
Well, both Dodges did. You know, you had 2 Fords in this round. They put 2 Dodges out. That, whoa, you don't want to do that.
Well, take a look again at this rough landing for Fred Schaefer. He's over the first set of cars through no man's land. Now watch this rough landing for the Dodge.
Like I say, they're just literally airing them out, doing anything they can to get to the finish line. It's kind of strange. Patrick is starting to show some strength for the Chevrolet people. Again, Chevrolet is still looking for a leader in this monster truck series. Patrick can run with anybody, but you take it.
I don't know. Who was it? Who was it?
Patrick showing right there he can run with any of these Fords. A 5'10" for Sampson.
And what was it for Colt Cobra? 5'10", a dead heat.
What are you doing in a case like that?
Run it again, I guess.
You folks want to run it again? Yeah, I do.
Well, let's run it again, I guess. Here is a replay. And this is what it looks like when you run a dead heat. Sampson, the far lane, Snakebite, the near lane. Look at this. Over that second set of cars right together in the air, and, well.
Both trucks identical. I'll guarantee you the Sampson team, crew chief this week by Gene Patterson, they're tickled to death.
You sound like a politician up there stumping for election.
No, but if you do vote for me, I'll be more than happy.
Get out of here. No politicking on this show. Colt Cobra, the near lane. Dan Patrick, the far lane. Sampson against Snakebite. Was a dead heat before at 5'10". Let's see what they can crank out this time. It looks like Sampson. Sampson by a nose. Sampson by that fist.
Knuckle.
All right. A 5:08 for Dan Patrick. And for Colt Cobra, he clocks in at 5:13. So the Chevrolet will advance. Remember, we could have a fast loser
Yeah,
coming
Gary,
back.
I'm just checking the scorecard. That 5:13 could put him back in there, but right now, all you Chevrolet people stand up and smile because you're still alive in this thing. And a kid called Sampson, Dan Patrick, the hippie, the yuppie, he put you there. Yeah. But Dan, we got good news. No bad news on this one. 5:08. That's quick time of the weekend. Plus, you move the Chevrolet over to the next round.
Well, if I can stay in the left lane, which I'm going to try to do, I think I got my rhythm down for the weekend. It's getting kind of tough on the other end as far as the jump on my body, but, hey, we're a gladiator here, so we can take that stuff. But, we're here for Chevrolet, and we're going to work on them Fords today.
Yeah, it gets the chassis to settle down in the no man's land. That's where he really makes the horsepower.
Yeah, we're talking about all the travel. Well, his shock absorbers can travel just as much as the other guys, but the wheel will move further through geometry. Now, you kids sitting home watch this on TV, you go ask your math teacher how cantilever suspension works. I'm sure they'll be happy to tell you. Old Uncle Army and Uncle Gary can't right now.
That's right. Well, you can write an essay on it for extra credit points in your geometry class.
That's right, but right now, both motors, 460 cubic inch, lower drive service prepared Ford engines. We got a race, buddy.
Who's it going to be?
We just saw a race. What's the number?
Who is it going to be? As close as it possibly could be. A 5:12. Is this another dead heat? A 5:12 for Colt and a 5:13 for Andy. Oh, my. Colt Cobra.
Man, if they were playing hand grenades today, he's hitting close.
That's as close as you can get without having a dead heat.
Well, he's already had that. He just wins this one by a TT. Look at this.
By a fang.
Exactly. A snaggletooth, if you will.
Let's go talk to Colt Cobra.
Colt, you really don't seem to let too many of these other guys bother you. They don't seem to phase you at all, no matter who you're going up against.
No, I don't let them intimidate me. Like I said, I may be a privateer out here. I just went up against, took out one of the big boys, the Bigfoot cruiser there with Andy. Veteran driver, I've been here. They used to call me the new guy, and now I'm not the new guy anymore. Now I'm the guy that's there every round, taking the wins, putting them out, hopefully going to the finals.
The last 3 or 4 weeks, he's really closed the margin down. A win here would actually, I think, give him the points lead.
But you got to get past this Chevrolet, and like I say, Dan Patrick and Patterson, they are going to go for your throat big time. Not going to work for them. That Ford's going into the final.
Yeah, it will be Dan Runte as he takes that win with a 5:00 ET. What a run for Dan Runte and the Bigfoot. And there's the 5:17 for Dan Patrick.
5 flat is awesome with the 10,000-pound truck, Gary. He just left on him, rolled the first hill. Now watch this. Plants the horsepower. He is off and flying.
And he flies right into the championship round here at Canfield with that run. And here, trackside's Dan Runte.
Each run, that Chevrolet is trying to pull you guys in. You got to give credit where credit's due. Gene and Dan are doing a good job. But you're the guy that's going into the next round.
That's right, Army. We come out, run a faster time this time than we ran last time. Ford Power Wheels Bigfoot's really hooking up. Got to thank BDS. We've been working a lot with them as far as horsepower, and we're getting it to the ground. It's working tough.
Definitely takes horsepower now. There's no grins and giggles. It's raw horsepower.
That's right.
Dan trying to take over the PENDA Point Series lead after 9 events of a 13-race series.
Good heads-up start. Both drivers. Dan Runte is there.
Dan Runte has him. And he has picked up the PENDA points lead with the points picked up here this afternoon. Colt Cobra 5:17, and Dan will go a 5:08. So Dan Runte takes over the PENDA Point Series lead. Once again, this was the 9th race of 13 events as he goes around Andy Brass. Colt Cobra's 3rd, Schaefer is 4th, and Patrick is now 5th. Army?
Gary, I tell you what, we're down here with the new national points leader being congratulated by his crew by 380 points, buddy. You're the guy they're all chasing now. Congratulations.
Thanks, Army. Like I said, the truck's been working really well. We got to thank the crew. Every round we went out here, it ran a little bit faster. The truck's working good. Firestone tires are hooking up. Everything's going well for us. We really can't complain about anything.
You know, it is It doesn't come easy, though. I mean, between every round, everybody is working like crazy. I mean, you're not backing into this thing. You're definitely having to earn your way.
No, Army, and there's something different here that we ain't seen in a while either, is the lanes are real similar here, so there's not a real big lane choice. I feel the left lane's a little better, but that's my preference, and that's got a lot to do with the way things are going here.
There are actually 230 points now separating first and second. Our congratulations to Dan Runte. We'll see you next week on Trucks and Tractor Power. Now, talk about a wild ride. This is Don Van Loo tossing what's left of his transmission, and we'll show you how he shells it out. This was from qualifying earlier. This is Don Van Loo in Magnum 4s.
Keep an eye at him in a no man's land. The transmission just explodes. They're making so much horsepower. The safety blanket contained most of the shrapnel, but Van Loo really took a ride. He was literally sitting on an A-bomb there for a second.
So he becomes an early spectator here in Canfield. Now, also a tough time for Pam Botters in round 1. Watch this hard landing for the Boogie Van.
Pam Botters, one of the young up-and-coming drivers on the circuit, just needs one very important thing that all racers needs, a break. But Schaefer's not going to give it to her.
Yeah, and from rough landings to tight calls with the Magnum Force out, Fred Schaefer caught a single, but watch how close he comes to the far side barriers.
Yeah, but we're not playing hand grenades, so close doesn't count. He goes to the next round.
Well, the hottest time so far turned in by Dan Runte, a blistering 498 to Gary Porter's 506.
Dan Runte definitely holding a high ground in this competition. He and that 460 cubic inch Ford Allen Root horsepower are showing away tonight. The rumor mill has him maybe teaming up with the Jasper engine people out of Jasper, Indiana. They're engine remanufacturer, and they make a whole bunch of horsepower, so he's not going to be afraid to pull up next to that Allen Root Ford horsepower in the far lane. He's got the Jasper horsepower under that Chevrolet hood. Let's kind of keep an eye on that, Gary.
Of course, that'll come sometime next season, likely.
Exactly, but right now,
all Ford.
Second place. Yeah.
Snake bite, all Ford. Well, they say second place is just the first loser.
Yeah, second place is second. First place is next to last in this sport.
I think we discussed that a couple of shows back.
And you never did understand it.
No,
okay, the
I
replay
didn't.
comes up. The horsepower takes place right on the starting line. The snake bite truck just settles down and does what it's supposed to do. It just goes to the other end. He's got to be. He's at number 2 in the points. Andy Brass, he's the leader in the points. Andy Brass is coming after him. These guys have got to stay focused. Now, let's get back to a horsepower story. Schaefer in the near lane, all kind of horsepower with this Dodge Hemi engine. The suspension's not working on the car. Meanwhile, they go back. You hear the name Allen Root again, making the Ford horsepower, so it's turned into a muscle game, if you will. No matter what happens, like rock and roll, on the other end of this track, you got to twist and shout. Who takes it, Gary?
Well, the Ford takes it, a close one, though, with the Dodge. We've seen the technology come a long way in suspensions. Now they want to hook up the horsepower. So now, as you indicated, you alluded to how they're trying to get more horsepower each passing season. So a quick one, a good one for Dan Runte in the Power Wheels Bigfoot. He turns in a 497. That's quicker than round 1. That would make Fred Schaefer the fast loser. Let's go down trackside and talk with Dan Runte.
Good number, 497. That's just fast.
We fell in the force twice this time. The track's really looking good out there, Army. I don't know what else we can do to make it any faster. The truck, everything's working. The guys are just doing a tremendous job. I got to thank all them, and it's working. That's all I can say.
Off the final jump, the truck really, from my angle, looks like it's doing some weird stuff. That doesn't bother you at all?
It does. It's you know, that's something that you got to worry about a little later on down the track. The way the truck's coming down is the way we got the back shock set up. When we leave the second ramp, it is throwing the back of the truck. But like I said, that's the finish line. It's all over them.
Meanwhile, I want to go back and show you this run of Fred Schaefer, who was taken out by Runte. Now watch, something happens, a rough landing over the second set of cars. The front end collapses right here. There is no recoil, and something breaks in the front end. So he's still in competition. This could be a major problem. Let's go trackside and check with Army.
Gary, what we're looking at is a cross member in the very front of the Barefoot Dodge. Now, Fred Schaefer is talking about landing so hard that this is the kind of impact. It's literally ripping this metal apart. That is some tough metal to be doing that to. One of the problems we have, it's not part of the chassis, so he can run the truck. We understand he's going back in the staging lanes with it like this. He just doesn't have time to weld it back up. We've got a welder on scene. It's just not going to work. He's got to get back in the lanes. You got to remember, he's going headhunt for these Fords tonight. Back to you, Gary.
Yeah, right now, this season has been a Bigfoot show. And there is Andy, the far lane. The Ford against the Dodge barefoot of Fred Schaefer. Fred playing catch-up, as we said earlier.
He's leaning on it.
Broken truck right now, but it's going to be Andy Brass.
Whoa.
Another hard landing. And there's Jim Kramer and the crew ecstatic for Andy Brass. As he said earlier, they're trying to improve this truck, to press the truck and try to catch the teammate.
Yeah, they're leaning on the equipment now. We're 13 races in the season. We're at 10. And they got to lean on the equipment right now. Andy, every time you go against Fred, it's just like a dogfight out there.
Yes, it is. You know, we've been watching a lot of the times tonight. So Fred's been turning in some pretty decent times, so we knew he was going to have to come off the light pretty good. Seemed to put in a pretty nice time. You know, I'd like to see a little faster because I'm watching the guys here in the finals. I know they're going to probably turn out a faster time and get lane choice on us. So we was hoping for a little bit better time than what we got, but we're happy with what we had.
It's unusual to hear Andy Brass talk like that. In seasons past, he has been the one they're all shooting for. The competition has closed up so much this season that now Andy Brass finds himself not on top of the standings, but second in the points.
Let's see who goes into the lights first. Meanwhile, where's Buster Couch when you need him? Because the starter, he's just standing looking down track. He needs to be pointing to the start line, getting these guys on the line. We're just about ready to go racing. Did the snake psych Runte out this time? We're going to find out real quick. It looks like now they're both going in pretty clean.
All right, the right to face Andy Brass. Oh, it's all Dan Runte. No contest. That was not even close. Hey, and look at the time, Army. 496 ET. That is the quickest run ever in this competition for Runte to a 558 for Colt.
It took a world record to put the snake bite on the trailer, but Runte now is the guy that moved to the high ground. Andy Brass again goes to the makeup, having to come from behind to beat Runte. He is just on a roll. When you're hot, you're hot.
So Runte has lane choice. He's happy. Let's go down trackside and talk to him, Army.
Well, Dan, we just received word. I understand your crew's already told you 496. That's the quickest ever in the sport to get past the Snake Man.
Yeah, that was I didn't really know that. No, I didn't, Army. I just found that out when you said that. That's impressive. Like I said, the truck's working. Ford's got us hooked to the ground. That's all I got to say about that.
They're going to be rubbing snake oil all over you tonight. That was an awesome run.
I got a feeling they might be chasing me around with a cooler. I don't know.
Andy Brass has been there before. He knows what it's going to take to pull this kid in. Can he do it?
Once again, Andy Brass second in the point standings to his teammate Dan Runte as they stage for the championship here in Canfield, Ohio. Runte has been in 8 of the last 10 finals.
Good lead by both.
Oh, it's all Dan Runte. Dan Runte by almost a truck length, which is still an impressive victory. There's a 5-second run. He has been so consistent all leading. This will help to pad his points lead over Andy Brass. The top 3 are Fords, then it's a Dodge, and then a Chevrolet. Let's go down trackside and visit with our champion. Army?
Well, I tell you what, it definitely takes a team to do this thing. Congratulations, Herb. I know you guys have been working real hard. A 5 flat, that's your slowest of the night, but that's still like a rocket.
Yeah, it was, Army. That was a little bit slower. We lost a little bit off the line there. It just didn't pull as hard. I think the line was going away there at the end.
I tell you, you go to the bank on Monday morning, they don't care about that line. They just want to make sure it checks good. Hey, we got a surprise for you. Hey, it's not like the NFL, but I tell you, the thrill is just the same. Back to you, Gary.
Well, that's about the only thing that could cool off Dan Runte. Well, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you on Trucks and Tractor Power next week. For Army Armstrong, I'm Gary Lee. Now, here is action from round 1. In fact, Andy Brass turned in the quickest run of 496. That ties him with Dan Runte for the fastest time ever in this type of competition as he took out Fred Schaefer in round 1. Now, also in round 1, Paul Schaefer, near lane, respectable 515 ET. Spent a ton of money to get that low. However, it still wasn't good enough for the Ford. The Ford takes him at a 505. Dan Runte continues on.
Okay, Runte and these guys seem to be leapfrogging everybody. A 515 is an awesome run, but Runte and the Bigfoot boys, they went a 10th quicker. Everybody catches them, then they jump out. For an example, Mark Hall goes up against Colt Cobra. Hall in a Chevrolet, Cobra in a Ford, same scenario. This guy goes a low 5-second run, a 511 to be exact. Hall makes a good run, nothing to be ashamed of. But the Ford camp have found something that keeps them about a 10th in front of everybody else.
Now watch what happened to Ray Porkowski in the near lane after he gets taken out by Dan Patrick. And he was very lucky right here to hang on. He puts the power back in and keeps it upright.
Yeah, he was awfully close to high side. And Gary Porter comes out, the big hope for the Chevrolet camp out of North Carolina. Lays down a good run, but the big question is, can he get into the next round and run in the low 5s with the Fords?
He will have to go better than the 523 to make some noise in round 2.
Still got a cool driver's seat.
Well, he does at that.
We're both kind of jealous of his driver's seat. Chevrolet versus Ford. Let's see what's going to happen. Schaefer, near lane Chevrolet, nothing to lose. He's experimenting, trying to get the horsepower to the ground. We know the Ford can do it. They leave together. Gary, you take the call.
That's going to be Ford at the far side. Bigfoot power wheels of Dan Runte. So he will advance. Dan had a time of 5:04. There's the time for Runte in the power wheels Bigfoot. He will advance and maybe pad his points cushion just a bit of 5:17. Respectable run for Paul Schaefer.
There's your 10th I was talking about. The Ford's leapfrog. You catch them, they'll jump out of 10th on you. You catch them, they'll jump out again. Let's see what's going to happen. Runte at the finish line, a little bit lollygaggle landing there, but it works.
Lollygagging, there's a word for your vocabulary. Let's go back trackside, Army. Patrick, in fact, was the first truck in Sampson into the 4-second bracket. He has found victory lane already this season.
Yeah, that's been the highlight for the Chevrolet camp, because as soon as he went into the 4s, the Ford followed him there, and they've been dominant since.
And right there, Snakebite takes the victory, the far lane. The time on that was a 5:08 for Colt Cobra. Dan Patrick's 5:13, ever so close, but hey, not close enough.
Yeah, again, we're not playing horseshoes and hand grenades. Close doesn't count.
Of course, Gary Porter won the national title here about 3 years ago. Down the point standings right now as he stages alongside the big blue of Andy Brass. Round 2 competition continues here in Canfield, Ohio.
We got a good race. Check this out.
Andy Brass wins it. Oh, and here's a good time for Brass, 4:98. Second straight run in the 4s for Andy Brass. 5:08, a good run for Gary Porter, just not quick enough.
A little bit nervous. Colt Cobra got the best of him once. Let's see if he can do it again.
They are both staged. Watch the Christmas tree. There they go.
Both lead good. No man's land, I think. Runte, what do you say?
Oh, Runte ever so close. It is a 5:25 for Colt. And for Dan Runte, a 5:21. So actually they slow down just a bit. There's the time for Runte, but Runte takes the victory by inches.
Well, they slow down in time, but that was a good side-by-side race. Check this out. A little bit of slip on the start line for Colt Cobra. That cost him. Runte took advantage of it and immediately goes the other end.
And for the 9th time this season, Runte goes to the finals. He's with Army.
Well, Snakebite, you put him away. You know Andy Brass is coming after you like a fast-moving freight. If he gets past his round, you know, what's going to happen at the end of the day here?
Well, that's just it. If he does, it's 2 Fords in the final, and that's what we shoot for every time we come out to a race like this. Besides that, Army, I don't know. We'll have to see what he turns for a time. That last pass he made, we'll just have to see what comes out of it and what lane we get thrown in.
Back in the Carolinas, he's going to try to be back on the circuit with it in the future, but right now he's just trying to play hang on with old equipment, to be very honest with you.
He's just finishing out the season this year to start really anew next year. Chevy against Ford. Chevy the near lane. Ford the far lane for the right to go to the championship round here in Canfield. And it is Andy Brass. Oh, close at the end. Andy Brass, though, nails it. Look at that. 494. He'll have lane choice. 494 for Andy Brass. Gary Porter turns in a 5:04.
Any other race in 04 is good enough to win. Gee whiz.
Incredible as we take a look at the replay. See how close it is at the finish. Brass with the hole shot, but he just does hang on. And now we'll go trackside to Andy. Army?
Andy, you make changes. You and the crew been thrashing. You're talking about going 4.9. Son, you went the quickest in the sport, a 4.94 to go into the final.
Yeah, we did. You know, it's been something that I've been looking for all year. You know, I wanted to be the first guy to turn into the 4.9s, but Dan Patrick with the American Gladiator, he was the first one, and that kind of upset me a little bit, you know, so we knew we was going to have to do something else. We was either going to have to come back in and run a bunch of 4.9s consistent or turn in either a 4.90 or maybe even a 4.80, and that's what I've been shooting for now. It's just going to see what we can do. You know, we got to run fast to get the points back and to get into the finals, and that's what we're doing.
Gary, you know, in forms of racing like NASCAR racing and everything, the tires are so important. The announcers keep telling you how they're changing the stagger, they're changing the compound or what have you. This sport is no difference whatsoever. Andy Brass was trying to find the handle. I'm going to show you what the handle was. These tires are normally the rear tires on this truck. Okay, the rear tires back there now are normally the front tires. What he did was take those tires and reverse them because there is a weight difference. The tire that's on the front now is actually lighter and used to be on the back. Now that he's got more weight on the back, he seems to be pulling in the times. He doesn't seem to be pulling in the times. He's certainly the fastest in the world. But looking for the handle, you hear that term all the time. In this case, it was just moving those tires back and forth and swapping them. Back to you, Gary.
Well, it certainly made a difference if, in fact, that is the reason why all these runs in the 4-second bracket this afternoon.
Well, you know, attention to detail you've got, and all young racers know this, you have to pay attention to detail. Somebody had to take away those tires to know that they were lighter. That's
why you have a crew chief. Yeah. Your team members, there's Andy Brass, the far lane. He has lane choice for this championship. His teammate, Dan Runte. Runte leads. Now, Andy Brass, really, with only 2 more events left in the PENDA Point Series, has to knock off Dan Runte.
Well, Andy Brass is the old pro. He knows what he has to do. Runte has played his hand. Now it's up to Brass to sneak in the back door and whack him in the head, and that's exactly what's going to try to happen there. I'm using terminology to let you know that Andy Brass still believes he can win this world championship. It'll be the 4th world championship if he does win it.
So you're saying it's his experience that will make the difference in the final 3 events of the year?
I believe so. They're both good racers. They're both
good run
trucks.
for both of them, but Andy Brass takes the victory. Oh, wait till you hear these times. The first 4-second final, 4.99 for Dan Runte in a losing effort, and Andy Brass goes a 4.91, and there is his ET once again, the first time ever both the finalists run in the 4-second bracket.
In the interview earlier, Andy said he thought potentially he could go into the 4.8s. I thought that was a little bit of hoping, but I tell you, a 4.91. He's just a blink away from a 480 run, the quickest side-by-side ever.
He did it. Let's go down to Andy.
Gary, the license plate kind of tells the tale. 491, quickest ever. Got to tickle you to death, and we understand that puts you back in the national points lead.
Well, I'd have to look at the points. I don't know exactly where we're standing right now. I know we're going to be up there pretty close, or right behind him if we aren't not, or just right ahead of him. The pass, I'm pretty happy with the pass. You know, we've been having a lot of problems with the truck. It's been running good, but it's just not been just peak. You know, I mean, I can tell when the truck's running and when it's not, and it's been dealing us a fit this weekend. But like I say, there at the end, we started changing just all kinds of stuff. I changed my driving style, and I kept with the style that I did change to, and it seemed that we just started getting down in the 9s, you know, 497, 496 and that, and then that's where we stayed.
Whatever you did right. Congratulations, Andy.
Well, thank you, Arm.
And our congratulations to Andy Brass. Oh, he gets the bucket of ice water this week. That's becoming tradition now in the Bigfoot organization. That cools him off. Well, as we take a look at the PENDA Points Series, 11 of 13 events, there's the 2:30 lead for Dan Runte over Brass, and it's Colt, Cobra, and a Ford. Then the Dodge and the Chevrolet as Runte signs the autographs.
Both players in this game.
And look out, here's the ice for Dan Runte. That's going to wrap it up. We're going to head off to Indianapolis for Army. I'm Gary Lee. We'll see you next week. Hey, here's news and an exciting video release from Diamond P Sports. The guy who has reigned over this event for the past 4 years is Andy Brass. Now, it has to be a bittersweet weekend for Andy. This is his final weekend of monster truck competition. Yes, Andy is leaving the Bigfoot organization to pursue other motorsports interests. Now, it's also the final weekend of the PENDA Point Series Championship. And Andy finds himself in a tight points battle with, of all people, his teammate Dan Runte. And starts stockpiling the points because Runte's on the sideline after this run in round 1 against Pam Vaughters. Now Dan breaks something on the Power Wheels Bigfoot. And of course, the win goes to Vaughters at 6:17. Look at the water still standing in the shutdown area. There's a look at the Power Wheels Bigfoot, something wrong with the transmission. Now also in round 1, Fred Schaefer, far lane, the Barefoot Dodge against Andy Brass in the Bigfoot Cruiser.
Now, this run was pivotal because what it did, his main competitor, Runte, was out. The big Dodge had been fighting all year long. He's out now, so Andy Brass is definitely sitting on a high ground in this monster truck elimination.
Like Army said, it was a war just trying to get into this event. Little welding job there on Gary Porter's chassis. He had some problems earlier in qualifying as we take a look at that qualifying run.
One thing people have to remember, this is an open field. As long as the truck meets safety requirements, each week we run the quickest and fastest 12 monster trucks in the country, but you got to earn your way into it.
Also from qualifying earlier today, Dan Patrick in the Chevrolet Samson truck.
Patrick been around the sport a long time, knows what it's going to take to win. He's going to need a little bit more horsepower, but today it might be a finesse track, not a horsepower track, Gary.
But Army, the toughest run in qualifying was turned in by Magnum Force. That's a Chevy body with a Dodge Hemi power plant. Don Van Loo is the driver. And watch what happened in qualifying.
Well, the Chevy body and the Dodge combination didn't have a thing to do with that
Spit a wheel.
front spindle breaking, yeah.
So that put Don Van Loo on the truck, and earlier we went trackside and Army had a chance to talk to Van Loo.
Once again, we get back to how tough is the qualifying session. We got Donnie Van Loo with us right now at the Arizona Sport Shirt Chevrolet. Donnie, what happened? It looks like something just completely cleanly broke off the front left spindle.
Yeah, the front knuckle come loose on it. I don't know why, but I guess them things happen sometimes. At least the truck's still in one piece. I'm not hurt, so everything's fine dandy. You know, we can always come back.
Qualifying, man, that is getting to be a tough thing to do for these Jamboree shows.
Very, very hard thing to do. I mean, everybody's getting their act together and makes a heck of a difference.
Thanks a lot. We're glad you're okay.
All right, thank you.
Well, 12th race of a 13-race series with a bad frame weld. And here's some action earlier today from round one. Dabney the far lane with that new power plant. Oh, he just did get him. He just did get him.
Porter had him over the first jump. As a shutdown there is showing you just how treacherous it is. But another thing this is showing us.
Now, this is Brian Welsh, a good Hoosier, taking on Ray Porkowski in round one. Ray had some mechanical problems with the Dodge Express, and Brian had some trouble getting this monster truck woed in the shutdown area. Let's go back and talk to Kirk Dabney. Army?
You're exactly right, Gary. That takes two of the big horsepower vehicles that we were talking about earlier. The equalizer is the track surface. This is a driver's track. Horsepower doesn't have that much to do with it. Patrick looking good.
Oh, a lot of air there, and Dan Patrick is a 5.67, slides to a stop. And it looks like Brian Welsh may have been DQ'd. He just didn't get it finished.
Exactly. Had a transmission go away. I wonder what it feels like to slide one of those monsters. Sliding on grass is weird. Doing it in a 10,000-pound truck has got to be weird.
Well, obviously, there's a totally different feel than sliding, say, a race car, a stock car, or a sprint car, even on dirt.
It's better than an e-ticket ride at Disney World right there.
More expensive, too. And Patrick slides her to a stop. He will continue on in competition here from the Indiana State Fairgrounds. Here's Dan.
Dan, I tell you what, you and the high-tech team really got your work cut out for you today. This is a day of unknowns, isn't it? I mean, anything can happen out there.
Well, we come up here, we planned this for 2 weeks. We had motor on kill. We come up with spare blowers to test because we figured this is going to be a speed track today. It's going to take a lot of horsepower. It rained. It just blew all of our scenario away. So now we're detuning and shifting quicker and just trying to keep straight. So each round is just a new trick to try to find out how to get down the track.
But everybody's playing tricks on everybody else, right? So it gets back to experience, I believe, right now. A lot of experience, and that's your strong suit, Dan.
Well, this is a lot, a lot of years in tractor pulling. You drive by the seat of pants. When your tires break loose, you backpedal. It's the same way in the monster trucks. If we're too loose off the line, you got to get it hooked up. You can't get on the track unless you got your tires hooking up.
She's beaten these guys. We haven't seen her on TV a lot this year because she's qualified but not gotten past the first round. Again, today we're seeing a lot of new faces. We want to make sure people know the name Pam Bodders and Boogie Van. They'll be a player in the future. However,
not today because she has a mechanical problem right at the Christmas tree. And Andy Brass with the 5:37 ET victory moves back into the points lead. A lot of breakage here today. In fact, we have Paul Schaefer coming back as the fast loser for the semifinals, and he was incredibly slow the last round. A lot of folks from the Ford front office here today watching Andy Brass.
I know you folks at Ford got to be awfully proud of this guy, what he's doing for you. He keeps bumping over in that winner's circle, Bill.
He's an outstanding young man, does a great job for Ford and a great job for Bigfoot. We're real proud of him.
That's coming from the top right there. How did it feel to you out there? It's got to be emotional for you. Okay, I'm going to lay all the cards on the table, and everybody's coming after you. I know you want to win this thing. Where's your heart in this thing?
Now, my heart's in the truck right now, and just to make a good pass, be consistent all day today, and we're looking for a winner. You know, go all the way to the winner's circle this afternoon with the truck. Like I say, we're just coming out here. I'm just keeping my head clear, just trying to watch the truck. The Ford's been doing me a good job down through the track. As long as we can hold it straight and stay with it, you know, we're going to take her to the finals.
Well, I tell you what, we just found out this guy just went into the national point lead by 50 points. He's your new national points leader. Let's see if he can hang on and win this thing. Get close. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Army.
But you can't take anything away from Schaefer, because that guy will rock and roll you in a heartbeat.
Well, of course, Paul has been making small strides all season long. When you add all those little building blocks together, you have a large structure. That's what's happening to Paul. Didn't have a great run the last round, but he comes back, though, as the fast loser. But it's going to be all overkill this time. Look at the air. Oh, Kirk is
Schaefer
really
might be in trouble.
Player.
Oh, he got her woed. Okay.
Schaefer would have been in trouble had it not been for that quagmire down there. He was able to slide, and the truck didn't tip over. Schaefer heads for the trailer, and Kirk Dabney in the finals for the first time this season.
You got two very experienced drivers. Both of these drivers have won on this circuit this year. Patrick being the only Chevrolet to have won this year. Andy Brass has been there before. Let's see what's going to happen. Brass looks good off the start, Gary.
Yeah, Brass has him all the way, takes the victory. He'll go to the final. Hang on, Andy. He almost got that thing upside down. But a 5:51, that's not as fast as Dabney. Kirk will have lane choice. And there's Patrick's 6:82. But how about that? Kirk Dabney with lane choice, a quicker run than Andy Brass. Well, Andy Brass had him covered, but watch this rough landing. I mean, his season could have ended right there. He almost got in big trouble and almost got upside down, but he hangs on, pulls it out. Right now, he's down in the pit area with Army Armstrong.
Andy, final time. You know Dabney's tough. You know he's going to come after you with everything he's got. Plus, I believe he's got lane choice. I know he's got lane choice. Where's he going to put you, and does that bother you?
No, the lane choice doesn't bother me. Chances are he's going to throw us over in the right lane, you know, but the right lane's been running good. We've seen it run good in qualifying, you know. It just happened to be I stayed in the left lane today just trying to make passes because I knew some of the guys had faster times and I was going to have to run the left lane. So running in the right lane is not going to bother me a bit, you know. We feel the right lane's a lot better between the cars. Now, whether the takeoff on the starting is going to do any different, but, you know, the time is made between the cars, so if the track's better between the cars, we're hoping we can do it there.
It's always cold and dreary here in
your
Indianapolis.
hometown.
I feel bad about that.
We don't have this problem. We come to your hometown and you're not here. Hey, we got a race. Check this out. Check it out, Gary.
It is a good one. Who's going to take it? Who's going to take it? I don't know. She seems to know, but I don't know.
Whoa. Meanwhile, Dabney has definitely got his hands full.
Overkill takes the victory, does he? 5:55. Overkill takes the victory over Andy Brass. So we have a brand new winner in victory lane, the first time this season for Kirk Dabney. Look at it again, ever so close.
Boy, Dabney leads on. We've got a good race. Two guys getting down in the trenches. Pull the trigger on the finish line right there. Dabney literally skies past him.
Oh, by inches he skies past him, and here's a happy Kirk Dabney.
Hey, you guys, this is what it's all about. Marty, come here. You're part of this team, too. Congratulations, a great run, but I got to be real honest. You guys have been playing hardball all year long. You could have just rolled over to be their time.
Well, you know, something like this takes a while, and it's not going to happen immediately. And that's one of the things that makes a good winner is you stay after and you don't give up, and that's what we've done.
Congratulations, fellas. Everybody was tickled. It's a good run. This is what the sport is all about. And I'm sure Andy will come over and congratulate you, too.
Hey, well, I hope so. And my thanks goes to Marty and Bobby and Roger and all the guys that help us at home, and to my wife, Kathy, and my little girl, Paige, who put up with all this. Brian. Yeah, Brian, too.
Let's get them all in there because this is, after all, a team sport. Congratulations all around. And Andy Brass is headed over to congratulate our winner. There's Andy. Now the new point standings. Once again, Andy Brass on top the heap over Dan Runte, Colt Cobra, Fred Schaefer, and Dan Patrick in the top 5. 12 of 13 events. The second 5, Schaefer, Dabney, Porter, Porkowski, and Pam Botters. Well, let's go back trackside and talk to Andy Brass.
Let me ask you real quick, Andy. One more race, then you're no longer a professional monster truck driver, but one more race will give you your 3rd world championship. What's 4th? Okay, I stand corrected. What's going through your mind right now?
Well, all I'm worried about right now, like I says, is keeping the truck in one piece and trying to make it to tomorrow's race. And just, like I say, just get in it, be consistent, and try to make it into the finals. You know, if we can make it into the semifinals or the finals tomorrow, then that's all we need to do.
So it all comes down to the final race, Andy Brass's last hurrah in the Bigfoot Ford. But today, it was the Overkill Ford of Kirk Dabney. Our congratulations to Kirk and the Overkill crew. For Army Armstrong, I'm Gary Lee. So long from Indianapolis. Now here's news of an exciting video release from Diamond P Sports.
Gary, you talk about the best case scenario. The people that bought a ticket today, they don't need that whole seat. They just need the edge of the seat because the Bigfoot boys are putting on a show of shows. They both made it through the first round. That means they're going to go against each other in the second round. But you got to remember one thing. In this sport, the quick loser of this round comes back. So they could race each other now and possibly race each other again. It's a good day to be at the monster truck races, Gary. Let's watch them go.
Earlier in round one, Ray Borkowski, the Dodge Express, the far lane against the Bigfoot Cruiser, and it was all Andy Brass. Now, you noticed, Army, those qualifying times were really slow. They qualified earlier today. It's a sloppy race course here in the infield at the State Fairgrounds, and I think the speeds will increase as the program continues. Also, earlier from round one, Kirk Dabney, the far lane, winner of the last race here at the Fairgrounds, but he gets taken out by Power Wheels Bigfoot, Dan Runte.
There's your other half of the main story we're talking about. You're exactly right. The weather is going to be dry for the rest of the day. It will only get quicker.
Pam Vodders. Now, Pam upset Dan Runte in the last outing, but in round one, she was no match for Sampson and Dan Patrick. There's the 577 ET for the Sampson Chevrolet. A big difference right now, too. Experience.
Exactly.
And the lane choice.
Exactly. And both of them in the lane closest to you and I.
And the big blue.
The truck that's going to the utter end.
If Andy wins, he is the champion in his final season of monster truck competition, and he is the champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just seen Andy Brass win his 4th world championship, and the race is not over yet.
Well, he has been so dominant here at the Indiana State Fairgrounds over the years. We talk about the weather and the rain and how he's been raining, but he's been on top of the hill. He's the king you want to knock off, and so far today it hasn't happened.
Well, like any kind of racetrack, you got tracks you have good feels for. I'm sure circle track guys feel the same way. He just feels comfortable at the Indiana Fairgrounds.
We take a look again, evenly matched right here over the second jump. Andy pulls away for the victory. He's with Army.
Andy, I tell you what, we hate to bother you at a time like this. We know you're concentrating on the event. Does everything feel good to you out there today?
Yeah, the truck's feeling real good for us, you know. The lanes, we've just been watching the lanes, like I say. I'm just sitting here trying to keep my concentration straight, you know. Gary's been doing me a real fine job tuning my motor, you know. We found some glitches in it there earlier today, and it looks like we got them worked out. So the truck's working good, the track's coming around there a little bit, and I'm turning in some fast times. So I'm just trying to keep to myself, keep my concentration up, and do a good job today.
We're looking forward to next year for him now that this national championship has been settled.
Look at the floorboard of the office space there in the Carolina Crusher.
That's how the drivers see. They actually look through that floorboard. A lot of people wonder about it. You cannot see in front of a monster truck for about 37 feet.
Well, I'd have my eyes closed anyway. It wouldn't matter.
Exactly. Hey, check this out.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise.
They call him Elvis. I don't know why, but Elvis put Sampson on the trailer.
Elvis has not left the building. No. Gary Porter is back, a 5:49, not particularly fast, but again, it's a very slow racetrack here because of all the rain this week.
Meanwhile, Dan Patrick is looking for a sponsorship to pick up his engine program next year. Gary, what we're looking at here is the crews that are working, a Nightmare crews over. Everybody's helping, the boogeyman helping Gary Porter. Now, underneath this driver, you really can't see it, is a brake caliper that pinches to stop the front wheels. Well, the brake pucks that are normally in that caliper fell out, so he didn't have any brakes on the front, no way to stop the front end from going. And the monster trucks at 10,000 pounds on a slippery track today, you got to have the front brakes. Now, Porter's worked so hard to get here, and all these guys know how hard he's worked. They're going to try to help him get into that next round, but right now, if these guys weren't helping, he'd be going home. Back to you, Gary.
Army, it's a valid point. It underscores the sportsmanship, but we've seen that before. These guys really help each other. It's a good family type of sport.
Well, that's the way it is in any kind of racing. You hear the word family. When you see the green flag or the green light, it's racing, but up until then, you help each other. But again, he's one of these guys that's going to go back to the drawing board and come out smoking for 95 or next year.
All right, you've got the Dodge against the Ford.
Ford in the near lane.
what we're going to do here.
It's going to be Ford. Yeah, Ford takes the victory. And with the time that we're being told now, it would look like Runte will come back as the fast loser, a 5:44 for the snakebite truck, and a 5:74. So Dan Runte would come back as the fast loser, but still he's lost too many points to regain the lead and take the championship. We look again.
And Schaefer's trying a weird setup. He's leaving, I think, in third gear. Notice how he's powering it in mid-range.
Well, Snakebite takes the victory. Colt Cobra is down out of the truck now, and he's with Army Armstrong.
Well, Colt, it looks like you and the Carolina Crusher are going against each other next round. He's having problems, but you're saying you can whip the Hillbilly anyway.
Yeah, I do call him the Hillbilly now and again, among other things. But this next round is going to be a very tough round. We've been watching Gary's times, and we were afraid we were going to get up against him. You're only talking a couple of thousandths of a second and a lot of mud out there. It's going to be very interesting this next round.
And snakes like mud. Well, speaking of interesting, these two guys will square off one more time. We're coming back.
Well, Andy and I go back several years when I was his crew chief when I worked for Bigfoot. So, you know, we both learned a lot from each other. He's an excellent fabricator, probably one of my closest friends in the world. So, I hate seeing him go, but you may see him with another team in the near future. Andy's one hell of a guy.
It's going to be kind of rough without him. He's moving on to NAS truck. I really think he'll do somebody a good job over there. I've been around Andy a lot. He knows his sport. He knows motorsports. And I just think he's an all-in-all good driver.
And he has just a tremendous fan following. And, of course, despite locking up a title, obviously he wants to put his teammate away right here and go on and win this particular event.
You're going to see what Andy Brass is like. So I guarantee you, he's not going to roll over. He's going to go through the doors of life kicking and screaming. He wants to go out a winner. And that's only natural. And Runte wants to beat him. You know, let me tell you, a lot of guys came to this race for one reason today. They knew it was going to be his last time in a truck, and everybody want to get the last piece of Andy Brass.
You know,
nobody's done it yet.
Very few drivers, very few racers can really say that they won their last event in whatever given series they were last in before they moved on.
You're exactly right. And, you know, it's history. The National Championship settled. Now it's for bragging rights, and it's going to be
close.
Andy Brass.
Andy Brass, but it was close. Andy Brass slides to a stop. He knows he has the title in hand, and one more win here today, and he'll have this victory as well. So the Bigfoot Cruiser takes the measure of Dan Runte in the Power Wheels Bigfoot.
Runte, a 5:43 is a good time. He ran him hard. You know, nobody rolled over. That was real racing. Well, when you go to the Jamborees, you're going to see real racing all the time.
No matter what the track conditions may dictate, you've got a good show right here. That's how close it was. Andy Brass takes the victory. There is the margin of victory right there. As let's go down now trackside once again and visit with Andy Brass.
Andy, we just talked to Gary. He said, you know, all these guys are giving 100% just like you have your whole life. How does it feel to go out there today?
Today, like I say, being the last race, it's really going to be, it's hard on me, you know, but like I say, it's my big thing today is try to at least win the last race of the year and my last race in the truck. So that's what I'm really gunning for. The PENDA series this year has been a tough series. You know, everybody's been coming up. The times have been so close this year. You know, it was the first time that we got into the fours this year with monster trucks. Dan Patrick said it was the first one with the truck to come down, and I set fast time this year with a 491, and this is just unheard of for these 10,000-pound trucks.
The winner here goes against Andy Brass, and Andy is being congratulated there by his teammate Dan Runte as we take a look at the staging now with the Carolina Crusher, Gary Porter and Snakebite.
You were talking about this race gear. There's another important factor you can't overlook, and that's lane choice. And this left lane is just paying dividends, and the right lane has been robbing these guys blind. Porter's in the right lane. I'm not saying advantage or disadvantage, but man, if I was racing, I'd sure want to get on the left side of this track. Porter's running good
right
though.
There, but it is Snakebite. So a pair of Fords in the finals, Snakebite and Bigfoot. There's a 5:39 ET for Colt Cobra.
The last guy that could beat Andy Brass is Colt Cobra.
There's a look at Gary Porter's number of 5:74. So the Snakebite truck in the fourth final of the season, and he's standing by right on trackside with Army Armstrong.
Cole, you knew that Gary Porter was going to run you hard, but I think the lane had a lot to do with that win for you. Not taking anything away from you, but the lane worked good.
No, that's for sure. Gary had been running that lane. As you can see, it's been the fast lane all night. Luckily, we did have lane choice that had not more or less just a mental factor, but also it just doesn't have the traction there. We knew that, put him in that lane. With the Ford running the way it is tonight, I don't think we can lose.
We shall find out next.
Andy, I tell you what, it is for me. I know it's got to be for you. It's got to be an emotional time. This is your last ride in a monster truck. Your career is going to end in a few seconds. Or you're going to be the national champion. So how hard are you going to run this thing?
Well, we're going to run this one just like we did all day. You know, we come out here, run a consistent race. You know, we've been setting some fast times. You know, our time's been getting faster all day, so we're just going to come out here and try to beat a little faster than what we was last round, pull away from the stake, and nothing better would suit me to win my last race of the year.
Well, that's the best way for a driver to go out. The final race, Andy Brass takes on his old nemesis, Snakebite. And by no surprise, he put Snakebite over there in that right lane.
And Snakebite's not afraid of the right lane. He says he's got a handle on it. Of course, if you're a snake, I don't guess I'm mud would bother you. We've already talked about that. Both drivers working the starting line back and forth. It's almost like neither one wants to go to the line first for the last run for Andy. You notice how they're going back and forth, and what they're doing really right now, it doesn't serve any purpose. They're just trying to get their rhythm going. Okay, I think Andy's going to go on stage first. There he is.
Think maybe his stomach right now is up in his throat?
I don't know. I'll tell you mine is, because this guy has been a class individual. We're paying his crew. They've worked so hard to get him here. Look at that. You think the intensity's not here? Man, you are wrong. Even the Snakebite crew goes over to stand with them because they know this is going to be a double throwdown final race for Andy the Man Brass.
There it is, the final pass for Andy Brass, the great champion after 9 seasons, takes the win. He goes out in style. A big round of applause. Congratulations all around in the pit area. Andy Brass, the Bigfoot cruiser, laying down a good one in this mud, a 5:22 to the 5:51 of Colt Cobra. So Andy Brass not only wins the championship for the 4th time, but once again he goes out in style by winning his final monster truck event.
As Coach V would say, don't quit, don't ever quit. You'll be a champion. Andy Brass is.
Coming at you from the end zone, the win goes to the big blue Ford on that right side of the camera. And here he comes down to the shutdown area for the last time. So Bob Chandler, Bigfoot, the organization, takes the national title. Brass is your winner, and he is climbing out.
Well, Andy, to all our friends on the Nashville Network, I want to introduce you to Andy Brass, 4-time world champion. Way to go, Andy. Congratulations to you.
Thank you, Army. I appreciate it. You know, it was like I say, it was a tough series this year, the PENDA series. Everybody running, they was running hard, you know. Everybody coming up so much this year. You know, like I say, everybody's suspension got dialed in a lot more. Their motors, a lot of guys going with Linkos and clutches. And to come in here with a 2-year-old truck was really something for me to take the championship with it. You know, that was the only thing I had coming into the season because we had the truck pretty well dialed in from last year. But to do it 2 years in a row with the same truck, I'm just tickled pink.
Congratulations, 4 times a world champion. We're awfully proud of you.
Well, thank you, Arm.
Well, once again, let's take a look now at the final PENDA Points Championship. The congratulations all around for Andy Brass as Andy takes his 4th title in 9 seasons. Dan Runte, his teammate in the Ford Bigfoot camp, goes 2nd. A Ford with Colt Cobra 3rd. Then it's Fred Schaefer in a Dodge and Dan Patrick in the Chevrolet. Then it's Paul Schaefer, Kirk Dabney, Gary Porter, Ray Porkowski, and Pam Botters rounding out the top 10. Well, I'm not sure that's the way I'd want to celebrate in victory lane. That may become a new tradition in monster truck racing. Our congratulations to Andy Brass for Army Armstrong. I'm Gary Lee. We'll see you next week on Trucks and Tractor Power. Now here's news and exciting video release from Diamond P Sports.